In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing your
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of Pons and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I just realized I had a little hair coming down. Welcome. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's Best Gen. The show's called Best Gen. It's a show where a bunch of nerds complain about nerdy things. These are my friends. They are all nerds. The show's called Best Gen because we're all mostly from the same generation, and we happen to think that it's the best. But we're obviously very accepting. Anyone can watch the show. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you were born. Just as long as you can acknowledge that thermometers were way cooler with the potential threat of mercury poisoning. So, you got to live a little dangerously, I think.
Spice of life, keep it spicy.
I feel like kids these days are really soft. Also, my voice is still not come back from last week. Totally lost it from being sick. It's mostly back, but sometimes it goes away again. So I probably won't be talking as much this episode, which is ooh, that's a new
I'll
thing.
believe it when I see it.
I'm probably going to talk just as much and lose my voice again. Sorry. I was thinking, yeah, kids these days are soft, man. Thermometers, they can't even have mercury in them. Remember, did anyone ever break thermometers open to play with the little mercury balls?
I never did.
Don't accident.
Oh, mercury is awesome.
I remember having to shake it back down.
Yeah. After you did
it again,
you gotta shake it back down. If you accidentally you put it in boiling water to trick your mom. But he went it was like 300 degrees. And you're like, oh shoot, no, I'd be dead. So you gotta you get a little shake, and the temperature drops back down. How's everybody doing? We're joined tonight by oh man, you can't put other Jared in front of.
They gotta have
regular Jared.
Yeah.
We're joined by my brother David. He's my brother.
That
He
I
does
am.
IT stuff. How are you doing, David?
I'm good, other than allergies, man. The allergies are killing me.
I'm getting shots for that. So
Yeah.
I have a hay fever. You know this. Remember all the times I almost died as a kid? Remember that time when you tried to kill me as a kid?
This did not happen.
Only one time?
Okay. Remember the time when you and should I say his name? You and your friend
That's up to you.
led you. Remember the time when you and your friend led me out into the middle of the woods and then ditched me there, and I had to wander home through the dead weeds, and I have heinous hay fever, and my throat got so swollen I couldn't breathe, and my eyes got swollen shut, and I couldn't see. I literally wandered back to the house blind. Yeah.
Yep.
Remember, allergies are great.
I seem to remember telling you that you weren't part of our games, and it was your fault that you followed us into the woods. And got
Yep.
lost.
Mom said you had to play with me. Okay.
Sounds like a classic setup.
Mom said you had to play with. That was the same day that he peed on me. Remember that?
Yeah, this friend was a jerk.
He was okay. This friend is in jail now for murder.
Wow.
We'll leave his name out of it. But he peed on me. They led me out into the woods. They would do this frequently. They would lead me out to the woods and ditch me there. This wasn't the first time it happened. It's just one time I got so sick I almost died, and I had to like lay down, and they were like waving me with fans. I don't know what, trying to get my throat to open back up. I just remember laying on the bench for hours after that, just completely dead. Yeah, and then because we're boys, so we're taking a leak, and so I'm peeing into a tree, and all of a sudden, this friend starts peeing onto me, and I'm like, "What the crap?" Just like peed all over my side and my leg, and he's like, "I'm like, what are you doing? That's disgusting." He's like, "It's okay, don't worry about it. It was clear." And then they ditched me in the woods, and I almost died. I remember that.
Better than that time when I was
not bitter about it at all.
Better than that time on a scout camping trip, and one of the couple of the older boys gave me orange juice.
Oh no!
Oh man! Oh, that's not.
Yeah. Figured it out pretty quick though.
Yeah. It doesn't take a lot to figure out.
Yeah.
Just a bit of that.
Yeah.
What mom says and what your older brother heard are two different things.
True that, Jacob.
Oh no, they played with me. It just wasn't. They weren't good games. Yeah. What were the allergies? Oh yeah, I'm getting allergy shots to finally fix my hay fever. It might work. It's like 95% effective, so I hope it works.
Is it like a one-time thing or more of like a seasonal or like monthly thing?
It's a 3-year process.
Okay.
Of going in. Well, for the first like half a year, I go in twice a week and get a little shot in my arm, and it swells up. I get huge rashes, but it's supposed to help. One time, I had like a baseball just like dangling from like a welt the size of a baseball. I looked like an old grandma.
Dang.
So thanks for joining us, David. We're also joined by cousin Jared on the couch.
Yeah, I didn't do anything mean like that.
How you doing, Jared? Remember that time you almost killed me?
No, I didn't.
Remember that time when I went to your house and you locked me in the basement and you hit me with the metal sticks?
See, now
poles. Sorry, that's the word for
the first story was true because I know that one's not. No, but
Jared never tried to kill me. I'm sure we did. I'm sure we almost killed ourselves.
Yeah, those firecrackers were pretty fun.
I'll do it.
Yeah, you did some pretty stupid stuff with fire.
I did some. Okay. I did some real stupid stuff with fire. I had a lot of money as a kid because I didn't spend it. I would save up, like all my other siblings spent all their allowances and monies and stuff. I say allowance, but like we worked hard for that. So I would just have tons of money and I would spend it on fireworks because what else? It's the best thing. There's this great store. There was this great store. If you just drove across the county border, there was a county that didn't have fire restrictions. And so this great store, one of my favorite ones is they had a giant smoke bomb like this big. It would smoke for like 3 minutes, and then when it was out of smoke, it would explode. So naturally, me and my friends played hot potato with it, not knowing when it was just gonna blow.
Cute.
Yeah.
That's probably the third worst thing I've done with fireworks. So
tune back in for more episodes to find out the second version.
yeah, there's some things I don't know if I should mention online.
Probably better that way.
That's probably safe, yeah.
I'm pretty sure one was pretty illegal.
I like Martina's comment.
Other Jared, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
From the golden state of California.
The one not family. Woohoo! I promise I have not ever tried to kill you.
I was just gonna say, you remember that one
remember
time that
that
other
time?
Jared?
Remember that time he tried to kill me, Jared?
Oh, you mean that time that we were all sitting around at a not Memorial Day barbecue, and you were just digging yourself in a hole with my wife? No, you were,
Yeah.
A potato gun. That's fun.
Those are fun. Yeah, those are really fun.
Well, if you're feeling nostalgic, Jacob, you can always come over. I'll shoot you with a potato gun anytime you want.
I would say this is probably our longest intro where we've
I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we wax nostalgic.
Isn't that what this is all about?
It's the point.
5 minutes per guest intro there.
It's the point of the show. It's better. Hey, it's better than FNT. So, and unlike their live streams, we start on time most of the time. No, I like them a lot. So, you guys ready? You guys ready to talk about some Star Wars? Some Obi-Wan Kenobis episode. Is it episode 4?
Yeah, it's 4.
Before, yeah.
Oops, I accidentally wrote down 3. It's because I copied and pasted it in my notes and I didn't change the 3 to a 4.
That's embarrassing.
Let's do it.
It wasn't in the intro, and
So I've got a bunch of notes for episode 4. My first note is just a swear word, but let's go on. You guys what do you guys think of the episode?
all right, I gotta think about the episode. One second.
It was they went to the Triangle Palace.
Oh yeah.
To steal Leia,
Fortress Inquisitorius. Yep.
which doesn't have defenses because who would dare attack it?
Yeah.
What kind of defenses does it have? Oh, it doesn't need defenses. No one would attack it. That's not how it works, guys. No one would attack your fortress because it's defended.
There was a lot of kind of weird things with that. Overall, again, I'm generally going to have a positive approach to a lot of this, and I had fun with it. I think there are things to enjoy about it. I felt like similar to episode 3 where like it wasn't an amazing episode where I'm like, oh, that was really cool that we had this or that or the other. But I did like it a little bit better because one of the things that I didn't love with episode 3 was I didn't love the portrayal of that confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader.
Right.
I saw a lot of room for them to get better with the or to finish connecting the dots between episode 3 and episode 4 for how they approach each other. But I didn't love it, and I understand where they're coming from and what they're getting with it. But as opposed to that, in this episode, I liked that we got to see Obi-Wan starting to like refigure out the Force. I wish that his not using the Force didn't manifest in him suddenly just somehow not really being able to use the Force very well. But
Okay. He couldn't move a Matchbox car. Like what? It was like a box, a little metal box, and he's like,
yeah.
But he just lifted up Leia with the Force.
And then later in the episode, he does something
he
pretty
goes
dang
back
cool.
to the ocean.
Yeah.
But
If you're gonna go with I'm rusty, you need to have but there needs to be some kind of like time difference where he's like, okay, now I'm back into it, not just like turn it off and like I don't think you should go that route, but if you're going to, like, you have to have like some kind of change. Like nothing has changed. They just wanted to show Obi-Wan is weak. So I will say I feel like this is probably the strongest of the episodes so far. I still did not enjoy it, but
I did like this episode better than episode 3 because the first part of episode 3, like I said, I really enjoyed, and then when Vader shows up, it just kind of goes downhill, unfortunately. This episode I liked better, but there were little things that didn't make sense, like the fortresses and like other things that we'll get into. But I don't know. It just this episode was just kind of meh. I did enjoy that part with Obi-Wan holding back the scene rushing into that corridor. But so much else I don't think makes sense.
Why is the aquarium so fragile though?
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out, I
That's
guess
true.
I guess in Jedi Fallen Order you actually go to this fortress.
The same-
I didn't connect them because I saw somebody being like, you'd think that they'd like get reinforced glass after all the times that Jedi are sticking breaking the windows in this thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't know. For me, I do see where you're coming from with like he was able to hold up Leia and now he can barely move the matchbox. But those ones doesn't feel as
Okay, sorry. I finally understand what you're asking. Have you seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Kenobi had a rabbit in his pocket. I get it. That'll come in handy later. You're getting Jacob. You're getting way ahead of the episode. Okay? We haven't even made fun of that part yet.
I did generally like that they showed a progression, especially as he started confronting the stormtroopers. I felt like there was a progression of that, like going from, he did it in the moment, was able to catch Leia, just barely hold her and set her down gently, and then like is struggling, and you can see him like just barely getting a hold of like not getting hit by the blaster bolts by these super accurate stormtroopers, and then being able to start knocking it back and hitting it back and getting a little bit better, and then needing to kind of use that big push of the Force to hold the aspect. So to me, it felt like they're showing a progression of that, even if it isn't the greatest demonstration of that progression.
Yeah, it's a dumb route to take, but I understand what they're doing, and I still don't like it.
So that's why I kind of like this at least a little bit better than episode 3, because he wasn't just running away; he was running away. But
he actually used his lightsaber in this episode, and that was the best part. And then he forgets about it again.
That final runaway.
He's using it like I'm gonna make a little edit just like I did for Boba Fett, but like it just keeps going. I just keep thinking of the scene from the prequels where he throws away the gun. It's so uncivilized, but he keeps going back to the gun, and I'm like you use your dang lightsaber. Like the one scene was actually really good where he was fighting he was fighting all the stormtroopers with his lightsaber. I was like, this is what I want to see. And then I'm like, he's finally using his stupid lightsaber. And then at the end of the episode, he's using the blaster again.
And it's
in a scene where it wouldn't make sense because he's got the little girl in his trench coat. He would want to be using his lightsaber to keep her from getting shot. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Ah!
So, original Jared, what did you think? Initial impressions.
I thought it was an okay episode. There were a couple of times where I was like, okay, that's weird. Like, for example, when the officers in the control room and she's just like talking on the stick.
She's whispering so loud, and they literally show the guy look over.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Who are you talking to? And then she just keeps doing it.
Yeah. So there was times like that where I was like, okay.
And when she leaves, she leaves her microphone on the desk too.
Yeah.
The one that bothered me the most actually was when the other officer comes up to her and is like, "Hey, that's not your station." Which just now I made the connection that maybe that guy reported her. They don't show that. It's poor story blocking, if you will.
If you look at the tags, it's the same rank.
Yeah, they're the same rank officer.
Yeah,
but so he comes in and says, "Hey, this is your station. Let's go." But then she beats him up like right around the corner.
Yeah. So when it showed her beating him up, I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. And then it cuts away, and she's standing like a foot away from where the guys were sitting when she was beating him up. They show the location where that happened, and you're like, no one heard that either?
I know.
and 99% agree with you on that. The biggest thing is when she does walk back, you actually can see that the station next to her where the one guy looked at her is empty. And I'm like, okay, at some point that guy got up and left. So maybe he, it's not like he could have heard that there is actually somebody sitting the next row up. That's still what I've been able to see.
Literally in the same room. She just like excuse me, like I'm just gonna walk to the back of the room where my fridge is and beat up a guy, and you're not getting like
notice. There was a lot of things with the way that she got herself through that didn't like her getting herself through the checkpoint.
Yes, just saying I'm your ranking officer. Okay, but this still isn't your
security guy. Even with secret clearance,
you can't do that.
Like at the very least, yes, they have clearance. Like that's all that it has to be. That this security.
Like Corwin is a police officer, right? But he's only a police officer here, right? If he goes anywhere outside the circle and he tries to like do something, like they're gonna say, "I'm sorry, this isn't your jurisdiction. Leave." right? Like,
Yeah.
but I have a higher rank than you. I don't care. You're not a police officer
Right.
here.
And then she says, I have sensitive information or whatever that it needs to be seen now. Okay, so at that point,
Bring her
you
to the
escort. Yeah, so you need someone to escort her to the authorities of that station or whatever. And then at that point, she could have, beat him up and stored him in a storage closet or dumped him down the garbage chute or whatever,
Yeah.
But it was just like,
honestly,
you're just gonna let her
at this
do
point,
whatever.
I think helicopter lightsabers would be a welcome invitation. I'm over it. Like, I would like to see that now.
I was saying that from episode 2. As dumb as it is as a concept, if they had done it, when Reva's needing to get over to the battle, I'd have been like, hey, it's consistent with what you've seen in the other shows. So like, as dumb as it is, okay, like it's been there.
Hey, hold on a second. We got a chat from Simply Nerdy. That's our other cousins. The Richardsons, David.
Oh, hello.
Hey guys, sorry. What do you think about the characters making stupid decisions? Oh, that's what we've been talking about this whole time.
Yeah.
Like, who would let a little girl run to her starship ride alone? Oh yeah, the last time. Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm here to protect you, but go run on ahead and get captured. Even though the cat that didn't make sense because I don't know how Reva got there first. But okay,
that's the biggest problem with it. Again, something that they could have explained if they put something else in there. And as the apologist that I tend to be, that's the headcanon I'm going to put in for myself and just be like, all right, cool. But yeah, watching it, you're just like, wait a second.
Sorry, Dave, you go ahead. I was just going to basically, further the concept about why I it, but you go ahead, Dave.
No, they're not your cousins, Jared. They're on the other. It's different.
They're on the other side of our family.
So. Wait, no, what?
I just realized that might have been confusing. I said, David, they're your cousins. And I say, Jared, they're your cousins because they're
no. I know.
Not Jared's. They're not Jared's cousins. They're actually second cousins. So there are second cousins. And, one of them is our cousin, and the other two are our second cousins. They have a channel.
Anyway,
that's the
confusing politics of family. No, I just
thought it was relevant. Okay, I thought I should bring it up. Thanks for stopping by our live stream, Simply Nerdy. We love you guys.
So this is a family channel, is what it seems like. Anyway, I generally like this episode because of the things like.
So it is our cousin.
Like the
I said one of them was our cousin. Sorry, go on, Jared.
So I like the things like getting to see the lightsabers and getting to see the Force holding back the glass and things like that. And I mean, but there were still some little things that I was like, okay. I mean, like, for example, you're not going to recognize this dude smuggling a girl in his trench coat as you're walking.
We've already mentioned it like 6 times now, but yes, I guess we got to address the trench coat in the room. But oh my gosh, I had to pause it. I literally burst out laughing. I was like, "You have got to be joking! They're literally doing 2 kids in a trench coat. Like that's what this show has to become." It like Elliot was watching with me and he was laughing too.
Yeah, there's not a lot of other ways you could do it though. I mean, to be honest, but at the same time, it's like little things like that where I'm like, okay. I mean, it's maybe not the most logical way, but I still did enjoy the episode. Also, the whole thing with the rebels like coming in and at the last minute, and saving the day or whatever. And I was like, okay.
I don't know. I thought that was fine.
It was all right.
It was fun to see I think they called them T-47s or something.
Right.
But they're the ships that are eventually adapted to be used on Hoth, which is really fun for me because I remember they always label those ones like when there's toy sales and all that as snow speeders, which drives my brother crazy because he's like, no, they're talking about how they're having trouble adapting them to the cold. They're not designed to work as snow speeders. Yeah. And so it's cool to see these being used in a place that's not as snow speeders because that's not really their original intent. They had to adapt them. They had to
how did 4 guys fit into one of those though?
Good question.
Like every time they cut to them, there's like 1 seat, and then
no, that's not true because.
But like when you see when you see an outside view, it's like those are really small, and then you get 3 people jump in, and there's already a pilot.
Yeah. No, I think there's a shot where one of those back-to-back seats have a gunner in the back.
Yeah, because
they could have had Obi-Wan and Leia on his lap, and then
but there's the other Two.
But
They're just getting
Was
real
there
cozy.
4?
Yeah.
Oh, there was 4.
Yeah,
There's
because
the
you
pilot,
have
there's Obi-Wan, there's the lady, and
Yeah,
Leia.
you're right. Okay.
So with 3 adults, it's like I don't see how that works, especially if you add in a child. Like again, I could see the pilot, Obi-Wan, and her, but not it.
It's just one of those details where I'm just like, just come on, like pay attention.
Yeah.
Show one land, pick up the 2 of them, the other one land, pick up her, whatever. I don't
Or
know.
it should have been.
I do like
should have been
this-
3 ships, and then
I do like
one of
this
them got
suggestion.
blown up or whatever.
They're doing the Wicked Witch of the West theme playing with everyone coming in on their helicopter blades.
I will say one of my favorite. Besides, I really liked seeing Kenobi doing all of his stuff with the lightsabers. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Actually did a really good job with the room goes dark, and then you have Kenobi kind of pop out of nowhere, and he popped up to the other side, but it wasn't like the like you complain about with Mando, where like suddenly he's there, because you actually do see him in the darkness.
You can't. Yeah,
so like they did that really well. But
I like that scene, except for the fact that he needs to hit the stormtrooper 4 times, like literally, pew, 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 and then the stormtrooper falls over, and he's still not decapitated, and you're like,
Yeah.
The second stormtrooper he took down with 2 hits, so that was a little bit better. But I was like,
impression of his skills.
that's how the lightsaber. That's how they work.
Yeah.
Like,
That's not how the lightsabers work.
That's Disney and their no decapitation rule for human.
why is that a rule though? Look,
But also, last
if you could
episode, they had
decapitate
the guy
anyone,
fall on the fence and get cut in half.
That's true. That's true. I don't know.
But-
Inconsistent rules.
Here's the thing: if you could decapitate anyone, it would be stormtroopers because they're in costumes where you literally wouldn't see anything.
That's
And
exactly
with
the
a
reason why-
lightsaber cauterizing the wound, there wouldn't be any blood. There's no reason why you can't be doing this, Disney.
It's exactly
no one
why
would complain
they
about it.
have them as these faceless, masked people, so that
Yeah. That's
canon.
why they're faceless, so we don't care about them. They don't have families.
No. But again, by far, my favorite part was Vader coming in and telling Reva, "I told you there would be consequences," and being about ready to choke her out, and her
then she
being,
makes him look stupid.
well, not necessarily that she makes him look stupid. It's because she hadn't had a chance to explain it. It makes sense to me that he comes in and is.
Yeah, I like that he choked her. I was
giving her a
I was
chance.
hoping she would die.
And then she gets a chance to say, like, no, I did do it on purpose. I put a tracker on their ship, which was smart on her part. Like, that was honestly the best thing for her, because she was smart enough to have figured that out, to plant that on Leia, to get that set up. It lends to an idea of giving Vader that idea for the future. I mean, but like, I loved that whole sequence there.
Okay, it presents another problem, but Jared has a point.
Yeah, I think
So-
we're thinking of the same thing. Go ahead.
So, well, I don't. Yeah, maybe, but that actually brings up another thing that I thought was really weird: is that Reva's interrogating this girl to find out about the path, and I was like, "What? Like, why would you even know anything about the path?" Like,
Exactly.
No, but they bring that up at the beginning of the episode. They're like, "But Leia knows everything." And we're like, what?
Yeah.
When did you tell her everything? Why would you tell her anything? Like, you just say, "Get
all
on the
she
ship."
all she knows about the path is she showed up and there's the underground tunnel and it led out, and they were smuggling Jedi there before.
But-
That's all she knows. That's
But
everything that Reva already
apparently
knows.
there was a moment
To be-
after Obi-Wan left and they were still in the tunnel where the lady just told Leia everything about the path.
I guess the moment when they are in episode 3, talking about how, like, oh yeah, we get him here and then we get him to the next place and on to Jabim. I think she was there for that. I still don't think that quite qualifies as she knows everything.
She says the location. She says the ship will take you to this place, which was a stupid thing to say. Just say, get on the ship. It will take you to someplace safe.
I think that's
Right.
what makes the most sense, but I agree with you. That did bug me. I'm like, why are they acting like Leia has so much deep knowledge of all this when she's a technical girl?
That entire
reputation
conversation-
she does, and why the other people assume that she would. Yeah.
That entire conversation at the beginning of the episode between Obi-Wan, the other lady, I have her name written down somewhere,
Reva.
between Obi-Wan and the Rebel guys, that conversation is horribly written, None of
Yeah.
none of the things that they're saying none of the characters are registering anything that the other person is saying. They're literally just talking past each other, and the writer is saying we're just getting the information out. Like the conversation does not make any sense logically. They're saying they're having 3 different conversations.
I mean,
especially.
Even specifics. The one guy when Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, you don't know what the Empire is capable of."
Oh,
that reaction didn't track with what he was saying. The concept of him being like, "No, I do," and all right, fine, I will. But it just came of like,
it shows you that they're writing the show backwards, right?
Yeah.
They say, "Look, this is the scene. We already know what's going to happen, so let's put in the dialogue and to get to the thing that's going to happen." Yeah. When a real writer says, "Look, we know what the plot's going to be, and we need this scene to get from point A to point B," then you start writing that scene, and you improvise it. You use natural conversation, how people would naturally react but always with the goal in mind of how to steer it to the end. But these people, they're literally writing the show backwards. That's not how you write anything.
I think that happens
and that line that Obi-Wan says is so stupid. You have no idea what the Empire is capable of.
That's why he's
what? Everyone hates the Empire. Like, what a stupid thing to say. It made Obi-Wan look like a moron. Yeah. The only reason it's in there is so that they can shoehorn in the other character's sob story, which you can do without making Obi-Wan look stupid.
Right. Not only that, though, he doesn't have any sympathy for. I mean, he does have sympathy for him, but
you can't cut a stormtrooper now, but you can torture a girl.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry,
they did stop torturing her because
you're right. They cut away, right?
They were prepared.
They were prepared to, and just as the things are coming in, you get the screams, but then the other officer comes in and says, "Oh, you can't wait," and it's the distraction.
Yeah.
The role.
We'll get to that.
It's the idea that counts. Yeah. You know, they were willing to torture a little girl.
Right?
Yeah. But going back to the conversation with the thing, right? So she said, you got to go help me, rescue this Leia kid or whatever. And he says, everyone needs every kid needs help that can make a rock float, And then he says the stupid line of, you don't know what the Empire is capable of, even though he's part of the smuggling trade, smuggling these kids out, right? Yeah, and then he gives his sob story about, my family was murdered, and then he says, "Okay, I'll help you."
When no one changed his mind, he changed his own mind. He's like, these are all the reasons why I shouldn't help you. So I guess I'll help you.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was.
If you're acting and be like, if you take that dialogue, even recognizing that the dialogue is not great.
Yeah, you could have him change his tone throughout the thing and realize, that's why.
No, it's too dangerous. We've got all this stuff going on, and I know how bad the Empire can be, or whatever. And then, you don't know how bad the Empire can be, and him being like, "No, I know my wife." All right, fine, I can help. Like, just
I'll do it for her.
Like, all right, fine, I will, because you're right. This is, or whatever.
But that's not what happened. You're right, Jared. You're right. They could have made this show really good. They just chose not to.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm with you here.
Yeah.
But going back to the distraction that you brought up, that's another part that really bothered me, right? So she was... Obi-Wan was sensing that Leia was in danger or whatever. It's like, okay, I need a distraction now. And her distraction is going
to have a conversation
exactly to the place where Leia was. Like, how does she know where that was in the first place?
How did she know
tells
who
her
Reva
she wasn't where Leia was.
Or where they were.
She went to the Inquisitor's headquarters, like their meeting room, their big their Inquisitor meeting room. Or went and found somebody and said, "Hey, go tell Reva I have something to tell her," or something like that. Because she didn't end up where Reva was torturing her. There was another officer that came in and said,
"Oh, that wasn't her."
Wait, that wasn't Tala. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Tala. I'm like, what the crap?
I will say one of the small
notice.
things that I appreciate. Again, most of the time they're missing all these like little itty bits and pieces that they could do that would make it better. But one of the things that I did appreciate is when you see Reva talking to Leia, like, "Oh, too bad, I'm just gonna have to torture you." Just before the lady walks in, you actually do see her cross behind her in the hall. So it's a little bit of continuity that most of the time, because it was doing a cut back and forth, you could get away with not having put that in there, and it wouldn't have changed anything, wouldn't have made it any difficult. But for me, I was like, oh, you actually saw the person walk behind, especially knowing that they're usually in the volume where they don't actually have like it's just a screen behind them, so it doesn't make sense. Like from their blocking perspective, it wouldn't be necessary. It wouldn't be something that would make sense for them to be able to do, but they did it, and I was like,
that's something they could have added in later too.
They could have, but either way, they took the time to figure that out, to put it in or make the shot such. So on all these terrible things and ways that they've did, here's one little tally for the hey, they did it.
Yeah. If that's the case, that's a lot better.
The information that Tala gives, we're talking about her distraction.
Yeah.
She, I don't remember the names of the planets they were actually on. Was she lying, or was she giving?
She was lying. Yeah, because the second time that I watched it, because again I usually watch twice. Where they were at was Jabim, and that's the only.
She said a different place
that they actually were on. I think that there might have been some other ones that they mentioned, but I don't remember those. And then she never mentions Jabim giving them the information. Right. She mentioned a couple of other places, like Flora, maybe.
So I get the idea was like, hey, look, I know where these guys are, so let's send everyone there and so that we're free to escape here. But still, that's a bad distraction. If it had worked, it would have taken like a couple of hours at least to okay, let's plan our assault. We know where they are now. Let's get everyone ready, right? People are on different shifts, so let's have everyone come. Let's get into our ships. That would have been, even if it would have worked, it would have been a bad distraction.
Yeah.
She should have blown
one more thing.
Yeah. I was just going to say, it reminds me a lot of Leia saying they're on Dantooine in episode 4, which in a lot of, I think, canon novels, it's been established that while they obviously weren't there now, they were on Yavin, that there was indication when the Empire eventually did go seek that out, they found that there had been a base there that had been abandoned for some time or whatever. I guess they actually do say that in episode 4. So I agree with you that's not the greatest, but I think it could have been effective enough for their purposes in that moment.
Yeah, I think in that moment it was fine. However, in the context of the previous episode, they just saw Obi-Wan and Leia on Jabim planet, right?
Right.
They know there's an underground smuggling trade, and they escaped, right? So wouldn't the first thing you want to do is interrogate the officers that are in charge there, which was her? So why would she, still have clearance or whatever to access that? That they would have known immediately.
There's no way she should have made it on. There's no way she should have made it on it.
Yeah.
They're basically showing that the bureaucracy of the Empire, which it should be a pretty generally effective bureaucracy. A lot of bureaucracy is going to have problems, but it should be way better than that. And their bureaucracy is just crap because again, she still has clearance somehow. Yeah.
No,
Can I just add though? One other part that I did like about that particular scene was all the lightsabers that they had that were on the dashboard. I liked that cool set design. That was cool how it was obviously in the Inquisitor's headquarters, right? And since that's what they were doing with tracking the Jedi, it was cool to see all those lightsabers that they tracked.
Yeah.
I mean, how sinister that is, but it was cool to
as well as all the Jedi that were entombed there. That was a cool touch too. But
I didn't like that.
I'm curious about it. I'm not in love with it. It doesn't spark anything.
Also, the line was this isn't a fortress. This is a tomb. I was but
that's a little bit.
It's also still a fortress, but why? Is this just Jurassic Park now? They're encased in amber, and they're none of them are decapitated. They all look perfectly healthy, they were just frozen in time. And then they bring in back the little kid. And you're just but he got his head definitely got chopped off by Anakin Skywalker.
So
right?
that's not the same kid, I don't think. And we actually still In episode 3, you never actually see the violence; you just see him ignite the lightsaber. So,
But we know that he killed everyone there.
yeah, I also stand by the fact I don't think that's the exact same kid from 3. The kid from 3 was smaller.
Yeah,
I think
I
this
just
is
like
maybe kid from.
I thought the frozen kid looked really stupid. He was just like, and I'm just
I
like,
mean,
it was
he's
supposed to be
a
this
kid.
emotional scene, and I was just laughing that they had this kid frozen in in amber, and I was just like, what? I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. Like, we already know that all of these people were dead. Like, I'm pretty sure what they're doing is they're using this to try and justify the sequel trilogy in linking it to Snoke and
Cloning
the
Force
return
sensitive,
the return of Palpatine. They're like
Somehow.
using these Force bodies to do cloning and resurrection, which is no one liked that movie. You should stay as far away from it as possible instead of retroactively trying to make it make sense.
But rather, like, recognizing that in reality, the chances that they're going to decanonize those sequel movies is next to none. There's almost no chance.
Yeah. So just ignore them.
As
Just
much as I don't like a lot of things in them, I think it would be a terrible decision on their part for a variety of reasons for them to
I agree.
just wipe those out. It would not
no.
be a smart move.
I wouldn't expect them to just say, "Hey, these aren't canon anymore." But
And
the
so
fact that they're
therefore-
like putting the things in these episodes to like, hey, look, we actually planned out the trilogy, guys, because see, it makes sense now.
Yeah, nobody's going to fall for that. But what they may be able to do is what Clone Wars was able to do for the prequels in terms of like
Maybe
in episode 2 and 3 where like Anakin's fall was really sudden. It's still kind of sudden, but like the Clone Wars is able to flesh out that story a little bit better and make it a little bit more. And so I'm for it.
Or what they could do is just pick a completely different timeline and try and do a good story.
I'm all for that.
I agree. That's what they should
either
do. But
go forward or go back. Do Knights of the Old Republic or do something even further in the future. Just tell your own story. Stop messing with canon.
I don't want them to touch Knights of the Old Republic at this point.
Yeah, right. Like, yes.
Yeah.
I agree, but like that would be if they hadn't already made all these mistakes. Like I'd be saying, like, just do that. You know. But,
yeah. But no, I totally understand, and I agree with you, Jared. That's from their viewpoint. Even considering that they're not going to decanonize it, that's not something they would ever do. They have no other choice than to retroactively try and make it make more sense. And I don't mind that sort of thing.
It's a smarter business decision because it allows them to, even though we want them to, and it probably is a smart idea to move way in the past or way in the future. It allows them to still have those options while also being able to capitalize on the stuff that they poured a bunch of money into and try to make some more money off of that later on, that they can still build on the sequel time period if they want to. This by trying to legitimize it might actually be but
this comment also brings up weirdness about the Jedi frozen in amber. Like he was still wearing a training helmet. Like practically, how did they do this? They just grab people and like stick them in. They didn't like take their clothes off or anything. They're just like I don't understand the logistics of any of
You're
this.
advocating for that they should have stripped them and then they'd be naked. Like, that's
I don't like. No, I don't know how this technology works, but I'm assuming you would take off the kid's helmet, but they just. I don't know.
The helmet was an extra level that, like,
yeah. You're right. It was put there for iconic purposes, right? Because that's how we've seen younglings before in the prequels. But you just show a young kid,
just seeing a dead kid would also be effective.
Exactly. You didn't need that.
To your question about the why, beyond the fact that like it makes sense that they're probably doing something to connect those all together, I'm still leaving I don't get too hung up on that in terms of like, well, what's the even purpose of that within the universe? Because I assume either that they're going to explain that or that it won't end up really making that much of a difference, but hey, it's still an ominous thing. So I can accept it as it is.
Well, it also looks like it's a trophy sort of thing, kind of like the lightsabers, right? So they're like showing off who they have.
Maybe.
See, and that's another thing that made it. I think that.
Also, in the Clone Wars, there is one episode in particular that they use the body of a dead Jedi to lure other Jedi in as a trap.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I remember that one.
They use Depa Billaba, or no, it's Luminara and Dooley.
Luminara and Dooley,
to lure in Kanan because he's thinking, I can't.
That's one of the episodes I've seen.
Yep.
Yeah.
small, hey, they put in a nice little Easter egg that I looked at it and I'm like, that looks kind of familiar. That first one that they like zoom in on and focus on. I actually looked it up, and the name of that Jedi, it's based on one of the ones from the Clone Wars. His name is Teras Sinube. So it's a callback to the Clone Wars. So that's a connection thing. It was another one to connect to because he was already old in the Clone Wars. But
yes.
That was the first one that they showed.
Yeah, the alien looking one.
Yeah, I think he was the one that helped Ahsoka in the libraries of the Jedi or something like that.
Well, when she lost her lightsaber, when somebody stole her lightsaber.
Yep.
So I'm looking through my notes, and Elliot watched this episode with me, and he had some notes that he wanted me to share on the TV show. But also I have this one that there was a scene where they literally get their grammar wrong. Reva is talking to Leia when she's interrogating her, and she says, "A safe house like the one you were in has been found in 2 systems." And I'm like, it's safe houses have been found in 2 systems.
Yeah.
But
no, he said a safe house has been found, but it's like you're right, because
it's wrong.
It's
it took me a second to get to that spot too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, giving a black character incorrect grammar is kind of racist, Disney. So,
very unintentional, I think, in that part.
So when Obi-Wan sneaks in and he kills the stormtrooper and like floats his body in the little pool thing, Elliot was like, he should dress up as the stormtrooper. Why isn't he putting on the storm? Like, they literally do it in a New Hope. He's in his Jedi.
That would have been a good callback too.
I'm like, I hadn't even thought of it yet. I would have thought of it eventually, but I'm like, Elliot, you are so smart.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I thought of that.
Why isn't he doing that?
I thought of that too, but then I'm like, no, he doesn't have time for that. He's got to get. But yeah, you're right.
No, he did. It would have been perfectly acceptable. Their cover hadn't been blown. It was a rescue mission. Not doing it was stupid.
But you're right. But he sensed that he had to get to Leia, But
and then
you're right.
Leia's whole interrogation, like, is this a steering contest? I really hated that scene.
I didn't mind that actually. Especially the second time
just like, Leia's so amazing and she's already so good and force sensitive, but like she doesn't learn to use the force now. Since they threw out the extended universe canon, Leia almost never learns to use the force. Right, like in the book, she becomes a full Jedi, trilogy, right? Yeah. But like she only learns to use the force until after the original trilogy. But somehow, as a little kid, she's able to stave off a mind attack because she's strong.
I'm still good with that as just a general like strength in the more of a mental fortitude, because that they talk about that again in episode 4. Her resistance to the mind probe is considerable, and all that. So
that's true.
It works for me,
But she's also a little kid.
And this is Reva, not Vader, trying to invade her mind at this point, so not as strong.
But Reva's better than Vader. She's strong. She literally gives Vader all his good ideas. when you already mentioned that, Jared. When that happened, I was like, oh no, people on Narnia. I saw it coming. It's actually one of our Screen Rant articles.
Oh no!
I was like, oh no, people are gonna jump on this and say, oh, I knew exactly what was gonna happen, and I found it today. Today they posted it. The third sister. Here, here's a little spoiler, guys.
Sneak peek into the bad takes.
Here's a little spoiler for some. Oops. Yeah.
Bad
takes. Look, yeah. Show it. Yeah, the third sister gave Darth Vader his cleverest idea in A New Hope. I literally knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
That second it happened, I was like, it's just like all of these articles that we'll go into later are just like people jumping through hoops to justify all of the plot holes in this show. And I'm just like,
well, and again, I don't think that's a plot hole, and I don't think it's even the
this
worst.
Isn't a plot hole. No, it just makes it just but
just a bad take.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. The point was, I I really didn't like Riva's acting in this entire episode. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're lying, it's just like just so overdone.
I
So
agree.
that I was
thought-
really hoping Vader would kill her. But
I don't think that's gonna happen.
It didn't bother me as much as
she's apparently going to get her own spin-off show now.
Oh, really?
What?
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
yeah, it's not encouraging.
But so her acting in this, it's interesting because I liked it a lot better than the like constant like out of 10 anger level that she was in kind of those first couple episodes. I agree, it didn't quite.
I think
Honestly, I think for me it was more of I didn't love the idea that she would be interrogating a little girl, and it felt like an odd thing to be.
I think the worst showcase of it this episode was her talking to Tala, not Leia.
Yeah.
It was awkward in Leia where it was just overdone, but then when she was with Tala, she was like, "Unless you're lying, I'm an actor." And then she's like, "Just get
She's a stage actor. She
terrified." And I was just like, "Stop!" Just like, have you heard of subtlety? Like,
Yeah.
like show it in your face, you know?
I do think she had some of that in her interrogation with Leia, but it wasn't great. Yeah.
Okay, and then
Dave was gonna say something.
well, coming right out of that scene, like Riva leaves, and Tala is being escorted by the 2 stormtroopers, and she literally just like open hand boops the stormtrooper on his head, boop, and he goes,
Yeah.
and then spins around and kills both of them, and I was just like,
Yeah,
that was the most embarrassing choreography I've ever seen.
not only that, the other stormtrooper still had his gun.
Still
And
had his
instead
gun
of reaching for his
pointed
gun-
at her. It was already pointed at her. Like, ugh.
But well, yeah. So she takes the gun from the other stormtrooper, right? Turns around, shoots the other guy that had his gun on her, right? But then she turns around back to the other stormtrooper that she just booped a little bit, and he just stands there and waits for her to shoot him. He doesn't try to do anything. He doesn't try to reach for the other gun. He doesn't try to do anything. He just stands up and tries to like tackle her. I guess I don't know.
I'm gonna be memeing the heck out of that scene for sure. I'm actually excited to do another little devoid of logic.
I don't know. There's always those kinds of weird things with fight choreography, and when it's not done, it's awesome. But I just know it's going to happen most of the time.
Yeah. No. Riva, I thought she was
Go watch
not
John
very
Wick.
good. I thought she was not very good in the first 2 episodes, and then I thought she got a little bit better in episode 3.
She did. She was better in 3, and then this episode.
And then episode 4 is just like, I don't know.
But apparently, criticizing her acting is racist. So. Oh, and then how does Tala get to Obi-Wan before Riva does? Coming out of that scene, Riva's like, "I'm gonna go intercept." She leaves. Tala has to take out 2 stormtroopers, and then she finds Obi-Wan before Riva. Riva doesn't find Obi-Wan until they get to the hangar.
Yeah, it's kind of some of the same story blocking kind of setup that we've seen in a lot of the other episodes, where it's like, well, how does that you got?
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice it either. I think I chalked it up more to the idea that Tala had a direct connection with Obi-Wan, was able to talk to be like, "Hey, where are you at?" Whereas Riva still had to track him down, had to like figure out where he was in there.
I think they took her speaker away though.
Yeah, probably.
Didn't know she had it.
Well, in that scene where
she had it when she bopped the stormtrooper. It was because Obi-Wan had said, "Riva, we're in the open now," or whatever. And they overheard that and were like, "Wait, what?" And so she could bop them.
The scene where Obi-Wan is hiding around, the stormtroopers are coming down the hall, and he like hides. They're literally already in the room when he's standing, and you're just like, "Come, like, what are you doing? You would have been spotted." But then like the fight scene was good. I was like, okay, he's finally using his lightsaber. And then it was Elliot who said after the 2 kids in the trench coat scene, Elliot was like, just use your lightsaber. It's one of the most powerful weapons.
Yeah.
Why aren't you using the most powerful weapon? He's like, guns are dumb. Elliot said this. And I was like, and then after that, he said, this is like Boba Fett when he forgets to use his jetpack.
That's a smart kid you got there.
He's so smart. Like I was already like riffing on it a little bit. Like I had to pause it a couple times. I was making fun of it, but like he said that before I did. I was like, Elliot, I love you so much. I've raised such a good kid. And then I thought it was weird that the rebels were like devastated that they lost one guy. After they just killed probably like 100 stormtroopers in that attack, and I get you can be sad, but they really milked it for like 4 different scenes. It kept cutting back, and they're like, we are still sad about this. You're like,
they definitely milked it, but to me,
you assaulted the Inquisitor's home base, and you didn't expect, and you're shocked by one casualty.
Yeah. To me, it was one of those things where they at least made nods to it. Again, I don't think it made a ton of sense, but they at least made nods to it in the fact that these people in particular were not soldiers. They have that whole little like,
yes.
We're not soldiers and blah blah blah, and then like the one gets killed, and he comes out and he's like, oh, where's the other one? And she gives a little like sad nod, and Tala is like, I guess it's a little.
What made the scene more strange though?
Yeah.
Was that when the people, because they come in and save the day, which was kind of fun, and then when he dies, she like yells his name. She's like, no, whatever his name was, who died, and it's literally the first time we're hearing his name, and so we're like,
we did hear it one other time when she told him we're not.
Well, I don't care about this character we've just met. Like it could have been effective if they introduced him at the beginning of the episode, right? Yeah. And he's like, look, I don't want to get involved. I'm just trying to help kids, and then he but like, oh no, but like they have her zoom in on her face. No, my friend whose name we're literally hearing for the first time. Like, I'm being facetious. But
no, I get you.
Here's the thing: you could have made that moment more effective if you actually knew anything about storytelling.
It should have been the other guy that didn't want to help at first.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we care
the
about
one
it.
who died should have been the one who was reluctant at the beginning of the episode, because then you're like, oh, I made him do it, and now he's dead.
Yeah. No.
That's you don't have to change anything. You can keep in your same crappy dialogue, and it would have been better.
Well, they have to change the dialogue because that was not the guy's name.
Would have been a different character. But then, okay, so they just let him leave in their ships.
Yeah, they're hidden in the clouds, and they don't have defenses there. So
they are literally in a hangar. And I know that the defense is going to be they flew in and shot some of the ships. But in the scene where they zoom in on Reva's face and she's like, he's getting away, there's literally a ship in the background. I'm like, the only reason why no one is jumping in these ships and chasing them down, and like they would have been dead. You can get in ships, you can chase them and murder them. Mission accomplished. The only reason why that didn't happen is because the writers knew that Reva had planted a tracker.
Which actually,
and even if that's the case, why is Reva acting defeated in this moment?
Yeah,
when she knows she's won. The only reason you would let them go is because you want to follow them to their home base, which she didn't explain to anyone until later when she's talking to Darth Vader.
Well,
and she acts like she won, except that everyone already knew she won because no one chased down the ship.
She could have explained it to a lot of those following her.
And she didn't, because the other guy was the first one who knew.
So I could totally believe that she would have explained it to the other like officers and stormtroopers that like walk in with her, except for him, because first of all, her and him have their rivalry going on, and obviously she didn't explain it to Vader either. But to all of the rest of the subordinates, she could have at least said, "Let them go" or whatever.
Exactly. What they could have done is have someone run to a ship, and she says, "No, let them leave."
Yeah. Exactly.
That would have been better.
Exactly.
And because again, the idea of focusing on her being frustrated does undercut the idea that she actually let them go.
They literally show her, and she's overacting again, and she's like, Obi-Wan,
what?
Just pick a lane. Pick a lane. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna
No.
do it, commit to it. I don't know what they're doing.
I agree with you 100%. The reason why that scene played out the way it did was because the writers knew what was going to happen, but the characters in the show didn't. And you're absolutely right. That's what I thought. The fifth brother should have been like, get in that plane now, hunt them down. This is your fault or whatever.
He literally in that scene too. I forgot that he was in that scene. He shows up.
He's sitting there right next to her.
You have failed again, and in the background, you
Yeah.
still see the ship in the air.
Exactly. He should have
You failed
commanded
again.
other
He turns around and
stormtroopers
leaves.
to go after him, go after them, and she says, "No, let them go." And he says, you know, and that's when he calls Vader and says, "You're going to pay for this. This is your fault." But yeah, it's the writers not thinking about this because they know how it's going to end up.
Because the writers already knew there was a tracker, and so why would anyone chase them down? Because they have a tracker.
Yeah.
Because that's what anyone would have done in that situation.
Yeah.
It's just writing plot point to plot point. You're like, this has to happen, this has to happen, just like you said.
Yeah.
You just write dialogue to get you there, but it doesn't explain naturally in that occurrence how the dialogue would have played out.
That's literally why people did not like the ending to the Game of Thrones TV show. The writers knew how George R. R. Martin was planning on ending the show. They know how it ends. The problem that everyone had is that at the end of the TV show, characters stopped making choices that felt natural. And so when the big reveal, I don't know if it's spoilers, when she go crazy, when she go cray-cray, it felt out of place because there was no build up to it.
Yeah.
Like, but
I've heard.
if you actually lead up to it, it can make sense.
Yeah. I listened to a guy who feels like all the signs were there, but because it's such a common thing, I think that there's, even if they left the signs.
Here's the thing. You can justify it.
Very well. They didn't really. They need.
You can 100% justify the situation. There were signs there, but up until that point, it had, like, the writing had been super clever and super poetic. There was like foreshadowing. So when something happened, you could go back and watch previous episodes. You're like, oh, of course that's going to happen. Of course the Red Wedding had to go that way. There were so many signs pointing to it going that way, but it didn't. Like,
well, it's like we've talked about before, that balance between, we don't need you to hold our hands so much that we have to be in a Bacta tank in order for you to do a flashback, but we do need you to give us a little bit more connection. So it's almost like they just don't have that good balance between where to trust their audience versus where to just assume that we're going to piece it together or figure it out when the connections aren't quite there. It really is one of those things that I think, for me, I struggle with a little bit with even Last Jedi, where it's like, I get that Luke could get to this point. I just wish that they'd given just a little bit more of an idea of how, like, again, they
of a journey, you know,
the pieces there, but there's just not enough feeling like of us getting to there.
Yeah,
there's not enough breadcrumbs. Yeah,
for me to feel good about it. I can make it work in my headcanon and you know, all that, but. Yeah.
And when we get to our Screen Rants Bad Takes, you will see people jumping through hoops to justify all these things. I get it. You can justify anything. That doesn't mean it was written well.
Yeah.
Okay? Good writing means you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
You don't have to jump through any hoops to make it make sense.
It really does. They needed to have gone. They need to take what they had written, do another pass with somebody as an outsider, be like, all right,
or literally just any human. And say, hey, how would you act in this situation? Oh, I wouldn't do any of this crap.
Just to give it that final polish. And it's weird because this has gone through so many different weird iterations at different times as being a movie or whatever. I don't know exactly how it all, but they needed to get one more pass to really smooth this all out. Just like, again, with the sequel trilogy, if they had the whole trilogy and been able to do a pass of, okay, how do we make sure this all flows together? They could do most of that and make it without changing a ton. They could actually kind of make it work if they just done a pass over the entirety of it, you know.
You could fix a lot of the problems with the sequel trilogy by thinking of it as a whole, and like also not bringing Palpatine back. But
I mean,
that really ruined everything. Like,
as stupid as it
Well-
is, even bring Palpatine back, but you can do it a lot better
but
if you lay better
if it had been
groundwork.
if it had been foreshadowed at all in the
Exactly.
two previous movies,
Yeah.
but they're like, no, we planned this the whole time. Really,
I love
no,
the idea.
We
of Snoke
were
being
definitely
puppet
going to do it.
over the real thing in the background. I
Yeah.
think it would have been great if it had been
Plagueis.
Plagueis.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm fine with them bringing back Palpatine as as a general concept, but yeah, it's just that they didn't foreshadow it at all. They're just like, oh yeah, this was our plan the whole time, guys. Trust us. No,
Trust us.
no,
Log
it was
into
not.
Fortnite, and we'll reveal that Palpatine is coming back.
Yeah, but no, I think they could have done that story thread much more satisfactory with Palpatine coming back if they had laid it out beforehand. But we all know that that's not how it panned out. There were some really good parts of this episode.
This is Javi.
I really liked the when Obi-Wan was holding back the force of the ocean. That was a really cool. And then he redirected the water.
That was cool.
At the stormtroopers. That was amazing. And then the lightsaber fights before that. That was great.
Another small detail that I really appreciated
when
when Paula says that door is not going to hold. They actually show the door leaking already. I'm like, that was a nice little detail. Little they do occasionally pay attention to some of those little details, and I really do like that.
Yeah,
just not where it counts.
They just don't do it in a lot of other places.
So I guess that's the end of the episode. The episode ends with them still milking Wade's death, and that's the end. And then I asked Elliot, "What do you think?" Because he hasn't seen any of the other episodes yet, so he just watched this one. He's like, "It's good because I love Star Wars, but it's silly."
That's how I feel too.
And I'm just like, yeah, no, like I love Star Wars, like as jaded as I am, like still like seeing McGregor pull out his lightsaber is just like it still gets me, even though I hate this show. I still get a little he used his lightsaber, baby, but like.
Yeah.
We are from the generation that grew up on the prequels, though, so we are kind of prone to forgiving questionable storytelling on the part of Star Wars.
That's true. I still think this show up to now is still a net positive, but it's still.
I don't like it at all.
I don't know.
This just makes me sad. This show just makes me depressed.
I'm overall like. I'm just unwilling to hate Star Wars. So like I'm willing to point out the things that I wish they could have done or think they could have done better. But overall, like, it is Star Wars, and if I can either pretend to ignore it, or pretend like it doesn't exist, or I can figure out how it will work for my brain, and then just really love some of the good things that they do, and then just rework it in my head well enough to make it work for me.
Yep. All right. That's all I've got to say.
Anything else to say about the episode?
I think one other thing I was thinking is I'm still not sure how they're doing a pretty good job. I think they're still playing it well enough that it'll make enough sense when Vader and Obi-Wan face each other in episode 4. The more and more that they get involved
in a New
Leia
Hope
being
episode 4.
What was that?
You're talking about episode 4, A New Hope.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
Star Wars.
Yes.
The
real Star Wars. Okay,
Yes.
sorry. Go on.
The part that I'm a little bit confused about is they've got Leia involved enough and knowing that it makes it's hard for me to see how that's going to connect. I'm still open to figuring it out. She's a 10-year-old girl.
Short answer: it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah. I'm hoping they do a little bit with it because I expect them to do that a bit more with Obi-Wan and Vader, but.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a good segue though, because we got some bad takes that talk about exactly what you're talking about.
All right, go ahead.
Should we do some bad takes? Let's move on. The best favorite part of my week. Here we go, everybody. Screen rants. Bad takes. I don't know if you guys know this. But the Wheel of Time season 2 is not coming in June of 2022.
My gosh.
I called it. I called it on this stream. This is every single month. It's a freebie article.
This is in
Of
screen
course,
real.
of course, this is like the 6th time they've done this. We know.
I know. I called it on the first time we brought up this article
What's so funny
back in
though,
February, I think.
What's so funny is that they posted this on the 10th in June. Like it's already June. Right? This makes sense if you're doing it for the next month, right? If this said, it's still stupid, but it makes a little bit more sense if you're like, hey guys, it's not going to come out next month. But they're literally saying it's not coming out in June. It's already June. I think we know it hasn't come out.
Time in June for it to not come out,
or say it's sorry guys, it's not coming out this month. Like.
See, but then they would then
it would have the same title every month.
Every month, exactly. They have to change the title every month.
It's so great because you can see last month's article in their suggested article.
Oh, that's too good.
If you just scroll
and
down,
and the next one down there too. Oh my gosh, that's gold. Oh, that's good.
Hey guys, remember when we rinsed this article a couple times?
Wow.
Oh,
okay. Okay. Now we're actually getting back to Screen Rat itself. It theory claims Bill Denborough is really Stephen King.
They're back to that
understand.
bad grammar.
It's bad grammar. It theory claims. Are they trying to say in theory? Or unless they're trying to say IT theory, like an IT, but this article doesn't have anything to do with
that show, the IT crowd or something like that. IT theory, like IT crowd theory.
No, but this has nothing to do with information technology or the IT crowd show. Like I've read through the whole thing.
Have you watched that show? It could. I don't know. Maybe they talk about.
I watched the whole show, but it doesn't. It doesn't mention the show in this. I just don't.
Yeah,
understand
those screenshots are not from the IT show. So.
No, I don't. I don't understand what the. I don't understand what the title is even saying. So
this gag is getting a bit ridiculous, bro.
Is it?
Okay. So Tanaki Kimura, what's his name?
Tamura
Morrison.
Yeah.
I really have trouble with his name. So he just came out with a big statement saying that he wants the old Boba Fett back. He wants Boba Fett to be cool again.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember this. We covered it on this show. He was the one that got rid of all of his dialogue and gave most of his dialogue to Fennec Shan behind the director's back.
So I don't know. I don't know the specifics of this one here, but honestly, him losing dialogue, not necessarily losing it to Fennec Shan, but him not having as much dialogue is more of a callback to old Boba Fett.
True.
That doesn't talk.
He would.
Yes.
If you were.
If it weren't, if she didn't have all of the cool lines.
Yeah. He just needs to have all the cool actions. I don't care if he has all the lines. He needs to have cool actions, and he doesn't.
We can give him the benefit of the doubt, though. Like this could read two ways. This could be he realized that the script was really bad and decided, I don't really want to do this. But I don't think that that's the case. Like when he gave this interview, he talked about how he was trying to be more feminist and let the woman have all of the lines. And so that's kind of...
That could have just been an excuse at that point, though.
Yeah. Who knows what the real story is? But
I don't know.
I'm with you, buddy. I think you might have been part of the problem. Maybe you knew the whole time that it was a bad show, but I would love to see the real Boba Fett on screen too. So, well, maybe not if Disney's still in charge. So, okay, we got another screen rant. Why Obi-Wan Kenobi's Rotten Tomatoes audience scores? Why is it so low?
Why score so low?
I don't understand. Because the critics because we think it's a good show.
What's the reasoning?
It's that we're toxic. So, the people who like Star Wars are toxic, and that we're review bombing the show. But if you actually look at the reviews, it's been it's been review bombed by Star Wars stands. Like the 5-star reviews are like generated. You can see like so good show, like seeing McGregor, you know, and then the 1-star reviews actually have like paragraphs written out in English.
Yeah.
So if anyone review bombed the show, it wasn't the people who disliked it. So
It's unfortunate.
We don't understand why is show so bad. I'm depressed, guys. Here's another one. Kenobi makes one Leia line in A New Hope even weirder. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 4, she's captured by Reva, and it's similar to when she's imprisoned in A New Hope, but it makes the line that she gives in A New Hope weird, because in this show, she says, "I'm a princess of Alderaan, and I'm a spoiled brat, and that means you have to let me go. So let me out of here because I'm a princess." And then in A New Hope, she does the same line to Vader, and she says, "I am a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan. You have to let me go." But that's silly, because if it didn't work when she was a kid, why would it work when she's an adult? So clearly, the original trilogy, it just doesn't adhere to canon. But you know what line makes the Kenobi show makes a different line in A New Hope more weirder than this, and it's this one, guys. This is the line that it makes really weird.
I don't hear.
Yeah, we don't hear any sound.
Oh, hold on. Okay, it'll make you. Oh, I gotta do this. Hold on. Just don't. It'll. Our voices are gonna echo. I haven't figured out how to get a screen share without
Computer audio going through.
Don't show me this. Yeah, so our voices will echo, but I'll get this over.
I mean, I think we all know the line.
You know the line, right?
Years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, she doesn't recognize. She doesn't even know who he is. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Share. Here we go.
General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. I have placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. My father will know how to retrieve it. You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
It's almost like she doesn't know who Obi-Wan is. That's weird, because she knew him as a kid. So
did she know Obi-Wan, or did she just know this Ben dude?
Ben, yeah.
Oh, but have you seen the article saying that's why she named her kid Ben?
I haven't. No,
but if but she doesn't remember.
Yeah. I'm willing to accept the general explanation of that. I actually do appreciate that, because when Luke comes in, he says, "I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. I'm here with Ben Kenobi," and she recognizes Ben Kenobi even though she was saying Obi-Wan earlier. I'm like, oh hey, now we have at least a connection that she
knows
know
that Ben is Obi-Wan. Yes.
Right.
Maybe she knows that they're the same. Maybe she doesn't, but she does know a Ben.
But
Kenobi
she
and
says,
Obi.
you served with my father, not you rescued me, or but she says, my father is asking you to do this. She could say, I'm asking you to do this. Remember when we hung out? And like, there's no way that she forgot about these events. These are traumatizing. This is a very traumatizing thing to happen to a kid. You're going to remember that your whole life.
I'm willing to let it go as she has a short amount of time, and this is the more prevalent thing. Is like, hey, my father told me, hey, we should reach out to that old Obi-Wan Kenobi guy again. It's like, hey, years ago you helped. Let's help again. Please help us again.
Yeah. I agree. I mean that it's 10 years from now, right? She could forget.
And
but
no, not gonna
but
forget.
also,
if this were to actually happen in real life, I get you don't have to say, "Hey, remember that time we hung out a bunch of times?" She's gonna say, "Obi-Wan, you helped me before, and I need your help now."
yes.
With going with your justification, if she has to say it quickly, that's even quicker than what she said.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Obi-Wan, I need your help.
However,
I need your help again.
I understand, and
That's
I agree
that's
with you,
even quicker.
But also, she remembers her mother.
Oh, yeah, so
canon has been
original
broken
trilogy-
before.
It's the original trilogy that's breaking canon, not the TV show. Got it. Okay.
Well, and I mean,
I'm
there's a certain level of like you have to you can't do anything about the whole like it is that way in the original. But if you want to tell this story, I don't know. It comes down to the idea of well, then don't tell this story because it doesn't end up making sense with that. But I don't know. You can't change the original trilogy, so if it makes it weird, I'm okay with weird as long as it's not the like Obi-Wan or Ben Kenobi. I don't know a
Ben Kenobi.
Like
I don't
if
even
you literally said I've never met a Ben before, or something like I don't remember ever owning a droid before. Oh wait, sorry, that's another one. Then there's a little bit of that, but
I'm assuming that you're. This is a reference to my theme song. Oh,
I think
he-
it-
oh,
no, I
he's
think it was
got
playing the-
technical difficulties.
Oh.
I think that's what that is. If so, it's pretty clever. Okay, but there's so many other. So they're already trying to justify it. Obi-Wan Kenobi theory. Why Leia doesn't? The reason why Leia doesn't remember Ben is because a sinister reason. Because at the end of the show, they're going to erase her memory, which is really stupid.
Yep.
I really hope they don't. I am
too.
much more comfortable with the semi-plot hole of she doesn't address the events of this show when she tries to call for his help. I'm much more happy with that than I am with the like, oh, and we're gonna erase her memory,
Here,
like some kind of a droid, you know.
but
Yeah.
here we go with the same narrative. It's the original trilogy that's wrong, not the TV show, guys. Obi-Wan Kenobi just fixed a 45-year-old Star Wars plot hole. We've been really brooding on this one for 45 years, man. Every time I watch the original trilogy, I just hate it so much because there's so many plot holes. And it's definitely not the show that's making a mistake because in the original trilogy she didn't even know who Obi-Wan was. But now the TV show is saying that she knew who Obi-Wan was, and that makes this line even better because she has a connection to him. She knew him really well, and that makes so much more sense. Because in A New Hope, her faith in Obi-Wan makes sense now because he saved her before, and she doesn't have to rely on her dumb father. She knows in person that Obi-Wan can help her. So, like you said, I'm here with Ben Kenobi. She doesn't meet, and it makes it even more sad because she never gets to meet up with him again in A New Hope, even though she doesn't act sad when he dies. And it's Luke that's
Luke doesn't
sad
act
about
sad for very long either.
it.
Yeah.
Right. But she's like consoling him because she clearly didn't know who this person was. But even after all of this analysis, right, like that's not a plot hole.
Yeah.
They're not describing a plot hole here.
No.
Right.
I'd never heard it as a plot hole before, but I could see somebody being like, "Oh, well, that's kind of odd that she said Obi-Wan, but then when he says Ben, she knows and goes with him." I agree that's not actually a plot hole. It's kind of a dumb thing to nitpick over, but yeah,
Yeah.
There's just so many hoops.
yeah.
Like everyone online like all of these articles are just like, let's just justify away the show's actually good, guys. Don't believe your eyes. It all makes sense. Reva's didn't work on Leia because she's force sensitive. That's why. Because
See,
that's why.
So this brings up another issue for me, right?
Yeah.
The Inquisitors and the Empire are currently hunting down force sensitive children. Right?
Exactly.
So the fact that she's resistant to this force probing
would mean that she would
even
be very
if she
force
wasn't
sensitive.
connected, even if she wasn't connected to Kenobi,
Yeah.
that would put a target on her back and Senator Organa's back and the whole shebang, the whole operation.
And it wouldn't have any connection to Obi-Wan.
Exactly.
She would be hunted down regardless.
Right.
Yeah. That
But
is assuming that
So this doesn't make sense.
Right. That's why I wish this episode would have she did probe her mind. She said this kid knows nothing or whatever.
Because
then-
she didn't.
Because she didn't
She
know
doesn't
anything.
know anything about the
Exactly.
path.
Like tell
I
me
don't
what
know
you
why
know.
they said that.
It's like I won't tell you, and so she force
would've
extracts the
made
information.
sense.
She doesn't have any information, so then she lets her go with the tracking, right?
To get the information that she doesn't know. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like she doesn't know anything, so we gotta go do another path, come up with another plan.
I personally think that the ability to resist the mind probe is not specifically a force power. It is why she can, but that it's not necessarily a direct, like it's not something that, she can resist this, therefore she must be force sensitive. It could just be that she has just got a strong mind. But the reason she has that strong of a mind is like that's the way that that's my loops. That's my loop.
That would make sense, but still, it doesn't change my my thoughts that it would have been a lot better to let her infiltrate her mind and say this isn't working, and then just say, and then especially when she says he'll come and find me, Reba could have said I'm counting on it or something like that, and lets him rescue her and leave and track them.
Yep.
Like it
Problem
makes,
solved.
It makes, like, I know that they said it on the show that she knows everything, but that's stupid, and it makes Reva look stupid that she would think that this child knew anything.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
It's like she already kidnapped the child, knowing that the only reason she was kidnapping the child was to flush out Luke. She already knows that the kid
Kenobi,
doesn't. Sorry, Kenobi. She, like, her obsession with the child. She doesn't care about her. So why does she all of a sudden think that she knows things?
Just because they found.
It's because the screenwriters think she knows things.
Well, I think that one, like the switch over to paying attention to her. Well, it doesn't make sense because she's a 10-year-old girl that probably hasn't had any involvement with this before. I mostly agree with it, but there is the connection of, like, they did track her through this Jedi safe house thing, so it is at least worth, to me, making sense that you at least check and you realize that this is a bigger thing than just Kenobi. Kenobi is what really matters. That's the most important thing.
But they already knew about the path,
finding
right?
the Jedi path stuff is also a big boon because that means that you get to get all these other ones that may have got slipped through your fingers at some point.
I don't know.
Yeah,
There's just so many holes. I'm gonna be just ruminating on these plot holes for 45 years until someone comes out with a movie that can explain why this show actually makes sense.
We're going to come out with an Owen Lars series that's set in between the end of this show and A New Hope.
45 years from now, though. So
Yes, it's got to be 45 years.
This is the other one that we mentioned, the genius Star Wars theory.
That's the guy,
links Kenobi's dead Jedi to Palpatine and Snoke, that they're using these guys to do the cloning.
Yeah.
I actually really like what David pointed out, the connection to the Clone Wars or to Rebels with how they use that suspended Jedi to lure in Kanan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. And what Jared pointed out about these being kind of a trophy room. Like, yeah, these are the ones that we've tracked down and have been able to kill. I like what Martina said at one point too, which is like, if they track down these ones and they want this as a trophy room, then put them on display. Like, have them, like, not just on display, but like heads on spikes, like the Stormtrooper heads on spikes before in Mandalorian. Would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah. Like, out of all, like, I probably have this bugs me the least.
Yeah.
But it still bugs me because it's like, oh, we're gonna make the prequels.
Jacob Ironside also made another comment about like the fact that this is just their action figures. These are the Inquisitors' action figures. They have all the pieces. You know, we're going to take this one and we're going to use this lightsaber, and then we can have you know. I want to see that playtime with the Inquisitors playing with their action figures. Ooh, did you get a Mace Windu?
It's a collectible.
I have seen at least one that is trying to see one of them in the background being Mace Windu. I'm like,
I'll trade you a Mace Windu. I'll trade you one of my Jedi younglings for a Mace Windu. Oh, I've got like 30 younglings.
Mint condition. Mint condition.
Mint condition.
This one still has his helmet.
Yeah, this one still has its helmet.
Oh yeah, that's good. This still comes with his, it's unopened.
Comes with included.
This kid didn't even get decapitated. No one even knows how he's died. He was completely unopened. The cellophane's still intact. So.
He died of a broken heart.
That's it. He died of a broken heart. Well, that's all the bad takes we got for you. The next one we have is an interesting news article on an actor we've talked about before. It's not Barry Keoghan. It's
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Ezra Miller.
I haven't been keeping up on the list because I know there was something else that just blew up with it.
So Ezra Miller has gone nuts, and he was arrested multiple times for assaulting people.
And the police were constantly fielding calls about him while he was there. Outside of the times that he was arrested, got out on bail, and then went back and threatened the people that bailed him out.
And yesterday, he just kidnapped a kid and ran off.
Oh, God.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That's nuts.
DC has been trying really hard. First of all, they've been trying to really just ignore this in spite of the fact that
that his movie's going to be coming out soon.
Yeah, they didn't ignore Johnny Depp and the
right.
Sure,
this is Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Johnny Depp got in trouble, lost his movie for nothing. And we now know.
As it turns out, yeah.
Right.
The thing that really is around the time of one of the first ones of his things, when back at the beginning of the pandemic, and he was in like Croatia or something like that at some bar and got threw the lady to the ground. Right around that same time, there was an actor on the Flash TV show. He's the guy that played Elongated Man.
Yeah.
And he had the whole old tweets from 10 years ago thing resurfaced, and he was fired like that.
For tweets.
For tweets.
This guy still has a job.
You can even argue those tweets are terrible, and maybe it was the right thing to fire him. But if you're going to fire somebody for tweets like that, when you have video of this actor throwing a woman to the ground and choking her, you fire him.
Gosh.
Oh, you fire him too. You get him the heck out of there. And
so
they said that on the filming of the Flash, that he was like, everyone was saying he was kind of losing it, like saying he didn't know what was going, like he wasn't sure, and like this guy needs help, but you need to fire him and replace him and then get him some help.
Yeah.
What's
I really
crazy,
hope the movie finds a way to write him out and replace him.
Yeah, except there's two of him in the movie.
At least I'm sure there's more.
Are they doing the reverse Flash or whatever?
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint, yeah.
They're doing Flashpoint. That's the one with Batman's coming back. Is the Tim Burton.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. I just completely had a brain fart.
Birdman. They're bringing Birdman back.
Birdman. Birdman's a good movie. I like that movie. It's not a superhero movie.
I saw that.
It's a movie.
Yeah, I hope you go to that show to watch to support Michael Keaton being back, or do you not see the show to not support Ezra Miller?
Well, yeah, this guy's horrible. This guy's. I hope this.
Did you notice?
I'm pretty sure it's a girl. I hope she's okay. Her family has come out and publicly said that like it's like a cult situation. Like he's involved in some kind of like grooming cult, and it's like why are there so many people like this in Hollywood?
Yeah, finding out that Chloe Sullivan was involved in one of those was super disappointing too.
Who is that?
The actress that played Chloe Sullivan on Smallville. She was
Oh.
the thing. She actually got the person that played Lana Lang.
I'd heard about that.
Yeah, she's come out and done a whole lot of like, wow, I was really messed up, and I'm sorry, it was terrible, and it's kind of gone off on to her own thing. I think she got some sentence for stuff, but she's mostly been like, yeah, I was really caught up and it was messed up. But at the very least, she's gotten to there. But oof,
yeah.
Apparently, that's a thing.
Well, that whole situation sucks.
I was gonna say, did you notice
mean tweets though, everybody?
Yeah,
those
mean
tweets.
Woo, you're gonna get canceled. Did you see though that because one of the couple of times that he got into trouble in Hawaii happened a little bit, like maybe a month or so before Fantastic Beasts came out.
Yeah.
And suddenly all the marketing for Fantastic Beasts did not have him in it. I mean, he was still in the movie. It was kind of a little bit late in the game. Not impossible, but really difficult for them to go and change anything about that. But yeah, they kept him out of that marketing from then on.
Yeah.
That, of course, being the movie that they literally replaced Johnny Depp out of because of his, issues that, as bad as they may have been, that were nothing like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even like Johnny Depp that much, but he did not deserve any of that.
I don't even know a ton about all that has come out through the trial. I'm sure that there was garbage junk that he did. I'm disappointed.
He clearly has substance abuse issues, but there's not a single shred of evidence that ever pointed to him being abusive.
Yeah.
In fact,
physically abusive.
Most of the evidence pointed to the opposite, that he never touched
your head about why and how the UK court filed against it or ruled against him, saying like, no, the evidence points to that you were a wife beater.
The judge had connections to Amber Heard's family. And didn't recuse for whatever reason.
But then he tried to appeal it, and the upper courts or the other courts that he tried to appeal to also turned it down, didn't they?
I have to look it up. It's been a while.
Either way, it's ridiculous. I don't know.
They were both awful to each other, but only one of them was physical. So
yeah.
Well, I actually couldn't find any good memes this week, but something happened to me, and I think it's pretty funny to end this segment with. I'm mad at Sonic the restaurant, guys. Did you know this? So their app, and it's still on the app. Let me pull it up. They advertise $1.50 floats, but if you look at the price here, right? You see this? See it? $1. It's in the name. $1.50. $1.50 float. How much was I charged for for my $1.50? How much was I charged for my $1.50 float, guys?
And that's also not because they've got that little half price discount there, which is probably not actually supposed to apply to that. But I know sometimes
that's for the slush. Half price
because you went at happy hour, right?
Half price is connected to the slush. Happy hour doesn't exist anymore. If you any slushy you order on the app is always half price, no matter what time of day. That's awesome.
And
half price slushies always. But look at this.
$1.35 doesn't bring that down to $1.50. Even if it was that. Okay, so yeah.
But look at this. Here, I'm gonna make myself even bigger. Look, we're on the app. You see the app?
It's all
too washed out. Yeah.
Okay, we're on the app. You go to summer snacking. Maybe we can.
It's too blown out. You gotta get it real. You gotta get it real close if you want it. There you go.
Summer snacking. Look, so they have some things, and they're all $1.50 floats. There's a bunch of them. There's an orange float. There's a root beer float. There's a Coke float, and there's a Dr. Pepper float. And in the name, they're called $1.50 floats. But if you click on any of them, once you get to checkout, you will be charged $3 for them.
That's pretty dumb.
I do have to say that I think probably what this could go back to is that generally when you order on any sort of app, they're a little more expensive than in store.
It's exclusive to the app.
It's double the
deal
price too.
only exists on the app. You can't
Really?
order these
Oh,
floats.
that's dumb. Yeah.
It's like Taco Bell has their $5 craving like their boxes or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of them you can only get on the app. And
Yeah.
then suddenly they're charging you $10 for those. You're like,
Yeah.
So
I notice those inconsistencies all the time. Sometimes the price for like if you get, for example, I don't know, a 3-piece chicken nugget, it's cheaper to buy 2 3-piece chicken nuggets than a 6-piece chicken nugget.
Yeah. They did
And that happens all the time.
So they did respond to me on Twitter, and I submitted a ticket, and I haven't heard anything back.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's this was like at the beginning of the week. I've tested it on the app. Like it'll still charge you $3.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's weird.
Get your crap together, Sonic. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the happy hour. Any time of day I can get a half price slushy. I've gotten a lot of those already because it's hot.
Yeah.
But get your crap together, Sonic.
Yeah.
Also, Sonic, if you're listening, your fresh fruit slushes are delicious, but you got to add some more flavors. Come on, it's been years. I need some mandarin oranges. I need some kiwi. Diversify a little bit.
They also removed their watermelon flavoring, which was a sin. I used to get their watermelon slushes all the time.
I don't know if you ask my wife any artificial flavor, artificial watermelon flavor itself is a sin, so she's probably fine with it.
Yeah, I like the fresh fruit ones though. They're so good. Strawberry lime.
Well, that's all the bad takes we got for you today.
All of bad rants, screen takes.
Bad screen take rants. Bag rants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the UK mostly ruled in that person's favor. But yeah, US ruled for Johnny Depp almost
Mostly. He still had to pay her some, but then she had to pay him like
a lot more.
Whatever, yeah.
It wasn't him actually; it was his lawyer that messed up. But he's paying for him because
right.
I mean, he is pretty well to do, all things considered. I mean, minus what he's probably burned on drugs, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we finally going to talk about Raised by Wolves episode 3?
Let's
watch it
because we put it off for so long.
We have
weeks in a row now.
Okay.
Was it episode 3 that we're on? I thought we were.
Yeah, it was 3.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on episode 3.
I watched 3 and 4.
That's fine.
So we're good. Actually,
I was trying to figure out whether I should watch
well.
episode 4 or not.
We should be on 6 this week, or 5 this week. So
okay.
Let's just talk about episode 3. You guys watch it?
Yeah, where are you at so far, Jared? Did you just watch 3 or did you watch 4 anymore?
I watched 3 because I was waiting for you guys. I was like, I don't want to get too far, otherwise I start to confuse them all. So I'm like,
yeah, same. I was wondering coming into this, like, it's been a couple weeks. Should I watch another one? No, I'll wait because I want to make sure it's fresh.
That's what I did. I think I watched episode 5 this week. So, but I stopped taking notes after episode 4. So,
well, this is the one where everyone's trying to kill the snake.
Yes, I got notes on this one.
And then they find out it's vegetarian.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Spoilers, Jared.
Oh,
that's
sorry.
the end of the episode. It's a vegetarian.
That's like in the middle of the episode.
He eats pumpkins, everybody.
Yeah.
It's Snake the Pumpkin King.
That's the end of the episode. It starts out with, Mother's got a gun. What is she gonna do?
And Father's got a host of suicide bombers.
Which apparently one of them was one of the Mithraic. I guess a bunch of them were the Mithraic people from.
Yeah,
those are the rest of
like the priest
Mithraic.
and the one guy that was totally against Marcus.
Yes,
which I appreciated him standing up for that. That was. It does make me question this whole because at the end of last season we have this whole mother was tricked, was beguiled by the serpent to be impregnated by this really dangerous. But then maybe it's not a dangerous thing. Yeah, it's kinda
Well,
interesting
and you
Really
can also see that it's part of her programming is to nurture the
is
snake.
to nurture. Yeah,
She,
but I
like
mean,
she started lactating
Yeah.
when she saw it.
Right,
She's like,
right.
oh, I better seal my nips up.
which her wearing the like robe itself was super not suspicious. It's like when you like put on like a V for Vendetta mask, you're like, yep, nope, not gonna be doing anything suspicious here.
Yeah.
We talked about before how like simple the idea of like, hey, we're or you guys have talked about before, like, oh hey, this is the way you show androids are just looking like this, and she's always just looking like that. But then today she decided to wear a poncho. Very subtle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
This is a good episode.
yeah,
Yes.
It-
This was a really good episode.
It's a good
It's been
show.
most years since I watched it, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, kept kind of progressing along and seeing that work.
The
This
little
is the one where they went up to, so the kids go to the cave, right?
yeah. So the little robot Viral, who's programmed to pretend to be the Mithraic lady's dead daughter,
It's
takes
good.
Paul and Campion to
Especially after episode 5.
the cave temple, and then one of my favorite scenes is just a random cutaway of it's either Paul or Campion swinging with the gravity gun thing
Yeah, yeah.
on the
That
ceiling.
was
Which is like
champion.
I friggin' love that scene. I'm just like, oh yay, they're bringing it back. I wish they used that gun a little bit more.
That gravity gun
Yeah.
thing was
I
Yeah.
think this is the last time you see it this season, and I was like,
Oh.
show me the gun more. It's a tractor beam gun. It's so cool.
It makes me think of the Metroid Prime, one of her like little
Oh
things
yeah,
that
Yes.
you can swing on that.
yeah. It very
Yeah.
much feels like a
Metroid.
Metroidvania like upgrade weapon.
Yeah, yeah.
It
The
made
other
me
thing
think of
that
that. It also
Go ahead.
made me think of there's a series by Brandon Sanderson.
That's
that
where I
I've
was
been
going
reading.
to.
It's-
Oh
a
right,
light lance.
the little
The light
tether.
lights, light lights, yep. That is
Yeah,
absolutely
the
actually
Skyward
was the
series.
first thought was those. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
if they ever do any kind of show or anything, any visual medium with that is
That's
the
what I want it
exact
to look
they
like.
can
Yeah.
do. Like, yeah,
I haven't finished that series yet. I started the first book, and then it was on
Yeah.
a road trip and on an audiobook, but I was reading a different one because I had to start. We had to start a new book because I was with my wife, and I haven't got back to it.
Yeah, my wife and I read the first one together, and then we started the second one on a road trip, and we haven't finished it, so we need to pick that up again.
I'm stuck in the
which
third
one?
one. I've
We need
read
to pick
both
that
of
up
them.
again.
Yeah.
Love you. She's in the chat. Sorry.
I've got through the first two, but I got stuck on the third one just because there's so much to watch and everything that I never find time for reading. But then I also need to, I guess, the Defending Elysium short story that he had ties in with all of this.
Yeah, he's wrote
His other
he's wrote
short
like
stories.
3 short stories or something now as well
Yeah.
that of different members.
He
in
collaborated
the
with
High
another
School or
author,
something.
Jancy Patterson, I think.
Yeah.
Chanty.
I need to check that out as well as the Defending Elysium and get caught up on those.
So back
Brandon
to
Sanderson, like we said earlier, hire Sanderson to write these episodes of Kenobi because he does a
Yes.
better job of connecting everything.
or hire someone who actually likes the franchise and doesn't want to change it.
Like Sanderson. Sanderson, I think, likes the franchise and doesn't want to change it.
I don't want him to hire Sanderson because he's
Too busy.
well, you know,
He's
I would
okay,
say
yeah.
then he wouldn't have time to finish his books, but I guess he still would have time.
He's not George R. R. Martin. He can do 15 projects at once and actually still have things coming out.
Next year he comes out with another Kickstarter. Surprise! I secretly wrote 6 Star Wars movies during.
While I was asleep, I kept on saying that I was just sleeping and I shut my brain off, but it turns out I actually went into low power mode and my fingers were just typing away and I got 6 books written there.
It turns out when I dream, my brain still keeps writing, so we hooked me up to a matrix machine and just started printing out like my brain juice.
Yep.
No, I joke, but on his podcast he talks about how weird
Dreams and stories.
because he can lucid dream, and so he does kind of write in his dreams.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, 100%
That's some good. That's some good inspiration right there.
Yeah, they talk about
it's like semi-lucid dreaming where it's like it's not that he's aware that he's in a dream, but he knows that he can kind of shape the story still. Like yeah.
That's one of my
Yeah.
favorite segments. Is he'll talk about like, oh, I had a weird dream last night, and it would make a horrible story, but it's hilarious. So let's
Wasn't that like the general like concept of his like where the podcast got its name there? The like bad story or no, that was intentional. But never mind.
I'm talking about Intentionally Blank. They have a couple.
Yeah.
Oh,
different podcasts.
I only recently started watching those. It's so I'm
Intentionally Blank is very entertaining.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
I've liked a lot of his stuff. I used to listen to his Writing Excuses podcast a lot.
Yeah.
Which is also very good for anybody who's interested in any kind of storytelling. They cover a lot of different types and topics of that. So
Kathleen Kennedy, maybe.
hey,
Maybe,
she should not be in charge of telling the story. Even if she was doing her job, she shouldn't be telling the story. But she should be doing a lot better job at working with the people who are telling the story and actually hiring good people to tell good stories and making sure that they're actually telling a consistent story.
Maybe go listen to the podcast. So Raised by Wolves.
Welcome back, Jacob. Talking about Raised by Wolves now.
So
Yes.
the scene where they're in the tank, there's a line that I really like because they're talking about Viral and how she's pretending to be a girl. And then one of the lines is, if you pretend to be something long enough, eventually you will no longer need to pretend, which was a clear parallel to what's happening with Marcus as well.
Yep.
As well as Mother too. She's been
As well as Mother.
reprogrammed to do this new thing, and now that's her new identity. Right?
Oh, I have to say something that I thought was interesting with this particular episode is I noticed in this one, I don't know if it was happening before or not, but like Marcus's veins like are pulsing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's happened
When
before.
when that electro staff gets close to his face, they like squirm.
And
Yeah.
it's
Cool.
in those
Yeah.
like intense moments when he's doing stuff. Sometimes they'll squirm. There were other times where you could see him squirming too. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, he's got
Wow.
those radioactive eyeballs in his tummy.
Yeah, I was gonna say is that like that's where that first popped up was when he got that
Yes.
radioactive eyeball.
Yes,
I-
the veins
I wonder-
popped up. The veins popped up at the end of season 1, the last episode after he swallowed them. That's what caused those to happen. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Well,
It's really interesting that he's basically founding a new version of the religion though too, because he's
yeah,
like
he straight up says it. I'm not interested in all that bull crap.
Yeah.
About baptism and whatnot. Just he's the reformed Mithraicism sect, right?
Yep.
Uh,
We find out that the atheist guy has someone else's eyes, which is an interesting detail.
I remember that, but yeah,
did we get that confirmed? I thought it was just like a hinted at that there was
No,
something.
he's talking to Mother, and she says, "You're wearing
Oh.
someone else's eyes, aren't you?" And he's like,
And that's why he doesn't want to do actual correction to the eyes, and that's why he's wearing the glasses. That's
Yeah.
right.
"It
No.
doesn't
Oh, yeah.
come back up yet, but I hope it does."
Yeah, so maybe he had facial surgery too and is posing as someone else he's not.
No, she would have said because they could tell because
They can tell the facial.
that's what she
expression.
said when she first met Marcus. She's like, "I can see you got facial."
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
But
Um,
my guess is that he got the eyes from someone
Some
that he
relative.
cared about, and that's why he doesn't want to change them. He doesn't want to do anything to them.
Hmm.
I don't know. That was my guess.
It's just a small detail that isn't relevant this season, but I hope they don't drop that thread. Well,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Any more than the show itself is dropped.
Renew, Raised by Wolves.
I'm so sad again.
I think the I haven't checked back on the petition to renew it or get it picked up, but it was doing pretty good last I checked.
I've signed it. I think I signed 2 different ones. I
You
don't know
should
if I
post
did
the
the
links
official
for
one.
those in the description or in the
I'm
top
not
of the-
sure which one is the official one, but
Post
I
them
signed
both.
one of them.
Everybody can vote on both. Doesn't matter.
from what
Do
I've
both.
seen on Twitter though, like the show's got a pretty big following. Like I think someone might pick it up.
Yeah, I just
I-
hope
I
it's not
still
Apple
have-
Plus because I'm not interested in any of the other shows that they've advertised so far, and I don't have access to it. So
If we do
please
Apple
let it
Plus,
be
if it
Netflix
gets
or
renewed, I
Amazon.
will pay for a subscription for
Yeah.
whatever service picks up Raised by Wolves. If it's Apple
I've
Plus,
actually heard
I want to
really good
check
things
out.
about
I want to check
Apple.
out Severance on Apple Plus.
I've heard good things about Severance. I've also heard good things about For All Mankind. And actually, when I watched the
I haven't even heard about that. one.
trailers for that one, I was like, that looks really interesting.
I don't know. All I
Definitely
know
not
is
definitely not interested in their Brave New World or no, what was that, Paramount? I think Brave New World was Paramount Plus.
I did see something just the other day that was like an Apple Plus thing. I'm like, I don't know. But I've heard great things about obviously Ted Lasso, and then
So
the CW is going to be sold anyway. It's going away. Like
okay, this CW picks up Raised by Wolves. Honestly,
it becomes like a
this
drama.
would be look.
Where's the
horrible,
love
right?
triangle? Where's the love triangle going to come in? Who are we going to ship for the CW love triangle for?
Here's
those
here's
kids. That'll
the
be
thing.
Champion, Paul, and the robot girl, and all three of they all love Paul. And
as much as I really would not like to see that happen, it would be hilarious. And I would watch it.
I think
Scott would take it if the CW was to say, "Sure, we'll do it." You just have to do these things. I get the feeling that Ridley Scott would be like, "No, I'm not doing that."
No. There's no way it would happen. The writer and Ridley Scott would both be like.
Although I think that the guy who's now in charge of WB, the father and the new robot are going to be the love triangle.
Yeah.
The guy who's new in charge of WB apparently is doing a ton of just like all this stupid stuff that WB was going to be doing. He's just like, get rid of it all, get it all out of there. Yeah. And I think it sounds like he's really getting ready to get rid of CW in general. So he's like cleaning it up, getting rid of all their like apparently very, very poorly performing shows. And
well, and there's still, even with the response, if the backlash is big enough, it's HBO or I guess it's Discovery Warner now, right? Because of that merger, they might realize, oh, hey, maybe we shouldn't have canceled this one. They might bring it back. It might not be another studio. This show is so good, guys. Come on.
It's so weird, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But it's so unique. You've never seen anything like this before, and it is so intriguing. And the writing is poetic and actually good, and it's just a beacon of hope. And
it's thought out, and you get those breadcrumbs that pay off later.
Don't kill my hope, because then I'll need a new hope.
Ooh, tie back.
I was wondering if you were gonna make a connection with it.
So mommy finds out that she can't kill the snake, because she discovers it's a herbivore. She tries to feed it a bird. Oh god, she just catches it, and rips his head off. I love the robots in the show.
Yeah.
And Marcus kills Daddy again.
I mean,
he kills Father again.
I wrote, how many times is Father going to die in this show?
I know he dies all the time, and but then he's back alive because
he's mad that Mother didn't kill the snake.
Petrov, what's the kid's name? He's the worst kid.
The older one.
Yeah,
the older guy,
the older one that his allegiances flip flop a lot.
What's his name?
I wrote it down in one of the previous episodes. Because I was calling him that guy before, and I really got to write down this guy's name, and then I wrote it down and forgot it again.
Well, it's been like 3 weeks since I watched this episode.
Yeah.
Well, the oldest kid.
Yeah.
The one that's been insufferable the whole time. But he's slowly getting a little cooler. He fixes Daddy up.
There was also the one of the other kids. It might have been Holly, which, by the way, I watched your show on the which Raised by Wolf character are you based on your sign or whatever. You can just barely see I'm a Sagittarius, and so I'm apparently Holly, who I'm not sure who that is, but I think it's Bangs McGee.
I think Holly is the other one who still has the Mithraic faith.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's her that says something along the lines of, "Kind of surprising that a human could take down an android like you so easily," or whatever. I think it was kind of interesting. Although this was also the episode we start seeing Father playing around with that skeleton of the other
So he'd been playing around with the skeleton before, and he got it to grow those mushrooms.
Yeah.
And then when he dripped his fuel blood onto it, it killed the mushrooms. And so in this episode, is this the one where he goes on? He goes.
Yeah, he goes and gets the liquid.
He goes to find more. He beats that industrial unit, which that was a cool fight.
That was a cool fight.
Great. It was a fun fight.
Yeah. And it doesn't show what he does with it in this episode. That's the next episode.
Well, he's gonna pour it on the.
No,
obviously.
he started pouring some on it.
Yeah, he started. We saw like a little core thing there start glowing, and then it went out, and then like it started glowing again after he put some more fuel on it or something like that.
Yes. So, it's also revealed because people are like, "Why'd you bring the snake back?" And she's like, "No, it's an herbivore." She also says it's not responsible for killing those people because its skin is not immune to acid. It can't go in the water.
Yeah.
So it was something else that pulled that big thing into the acid water and killed all those people.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that we get this nice like flip from like last season we had the Mithraic terrorizing our characters, but then obviously we've got the atheists like
they're not that much better, you know.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Let's see. There's a couple other things.
Hunter, by the way, is the kid that
Hunter. Yes.
Thank you, Jacob.
Hunter does get better this season, but in season 1 and half of season 2, he's just the worst.
Well, in season 1 he was good too. I like that scene where he decoded.
He has that one.
He started getting a little bit better around that time, and he's still been a little bit, but like mostly he's started getting better.
But he does go back and forth. He's not quite loyal to the atheist or the Mithraic.
Well, I don't know. It drove me a little bit crazy towards the beginning of the because this is the first time I've had a chance to talk to you about Raised by Wolves. Like it drove me a little bit crazy the way that Campion was doing a lot of that. Like, no, I hate you. Oh no. You know what's going on. Like he's a little kid and he's being a little bit kind of like confused by everything that's going on. But it still was a very quick switch and intense switch for me back and forth for a little bit there.
You ship Hunter and the Prego girl.
I don't.
But only a little.
Tempest. Hunter and Tempest.
Hunter and Tempest.
They're about the same age-ish.
They have an interesting character arc this season. Both of them together.
So I'd be intrigued as long as Hunter continues to get to be a better person. Because how he is at the beginning when he first shows up and just being like, "Well, I am the son of blah blah blah," and like you're gonna listen and like being so like not just let's believe in Mithraic, but also like. The kind of toxic levels of Mithraicness that he was trying to bring, and I cannot see her putting up with that, and I don't think that would work very well. But
I
they're
will say
pretty young people that they could get, so if they're on the CW, they're definitely getting together.
Hunter was my least favorite of the kids. At the end of season 2, he's my favorite.
Yeah,
I'll say that. Nice. I really like his arc in season 2. It's fantastic. Pregnant Girl has a really good arc too that I did not think anyone in Hollywood would put in a film. It's very surprising, and I really like what they do with her.
Sorry, with what? With who?
With pregnantly with Tempest. Okay. Yes, her the stuff that happens with her character is really good, and I wasn't expecting it out of Hollywood. So,
well, a couple other things with this episode. Some of the camera work in this episode in particular was just like chef's kiss. There's one in particular where Mother is trying to locate the snake, right? And her T-pose thing. What's going on? Whoa, what are you doing?
There was like a little glitch. It booted everyone out, but we're still live, I believe. Okay. Let me just check. Yeah, we're still
good.
I'm watching it come through. Yeah. Nope. Looks like we're still there.
Yeah. It was just a little. I don't know.
Okay.
You were talking about the camera work. There was a moment.
Yeah. So there's one shot where she does the T-pose, right? But she doesn't have her eyes at the point. So but the camera comes down kind of like this and makes it look like she's flying up, and it's just like. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Really good moment.
And it's like, the camera work is so specific in that moment.
I will say I forgot to address Jared's point that Campion gets a little bit annoying in season 1, but for the most part, it's pretty believable. Like like if your mom suddenly one night, if it turns out your mom, you woke up and one day your mom pulled out her eyeballs and became a monster and started murdering people, I'd be pretty freaked out about that too.
Yeah, especially if I was
I'd still be conflicted. I'm like, I still love you, mom, but maybe don't kill people.
Yeah. I think for me it was more that he went all the way to the like, no, you're the worst, I hate you, and it didn't feel like a teenager like, oh, I hate you, you're ruining my life kind of thing. It was more of a like, never mind, this is terrible, it's all been awful, but then it does come back, and again he does come back, and it is a little bit interesting, and it works. It doesn't bother me too much, but it was definitely like okay, well, all right, they went there. It happened, now they're kind of past it, so it's good.
The show promotes family a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's the one follow through. Like it's people are terrible. Religion and atheism are to either extreme are both bad, and but the one through line is family is important.
Suddenly we're gonna get Vin Diesel through here being like,
he's gonna crash through in a Trans Am and like he's gonna kill the snake.
I will say I'm glad with this season now that they've got more people around and involved, because like
it feels less isolated for sure.
Well, it feels less isolated. It's not even just that though. I was sitting here looking at this and thinking like, if they're trying to start up a new human race or whatever, I'm not a big like geneticist or anything, but like I've heard a lot of times people talking about how like, in order to have like enough genetic diversity to like actually propagate a species and like continue on, like you need a lot more than 6 people or even the couple dozen people that at maximum.
I think they mentioned. I think there's a throwaway line in season 1 where they talk about where the original Campion talks about that, where like these embryos were like genetically designed to have enough pieces to be able to do that.
Yeah. It's just like that's a small like even
it's still a little creepy because you're going to have to bang your cousin.
Oh yeah, but I mean, even coming from a religious perspective, we believe that would have happened for Adam and Eve and their kids. So yeah.
But then again, in season 1, it's implied that there are more embryos that didn't make it on the spacecraft.
Half of them were destroyed.
Well, so they have the what is it, 6 that they pull out and that they bring to fruition that are Campion Gen 1, right? And then there's another the snowballs that they let melt. But I got the feeling that maybe some of those other ones that fell down in their original.
There could have been more on the ship as well.
There would have been more on the ship, perhaps. That makes a little sense to me. Yeah.
Right.
200
to me, I think
2,000 people is what the scientists say.
To me, it's not.
Well, if you could genetically splice a couple of those together, maybe you only need 50.
Yeah, and see, for me, it's like I would think that more for a sustainability, not necessarily on the like genetic diversity per se, but more like the whole. Yeah, we just need to have enough people to be able to survive and start to propagate beyond just the genetic diversity within this group. You would need, I think, a little bit larger community, and so I mean, it makes it
less creepy for future seasons. Now that there's more people.
Yeah,
but again, we also still come from even from a religious perspective of like it all came from Adam and Eve idea too. So there was a lot of the banging your cousin stuff that had to happen,
which explains why the early families in the Bible were so dysfunctional, right?
Yeah. I mean, Cain killed his brother.
Yeah, right.
Those were the first ones. Those were the first ones.
Yeah. There we go.
Thanks for sticking around, Mark. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Jared left the conversation because we kept talking about banging cousins. How does that make you feel?
There's a line that I draw. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, anyway.
Okay. We asked the real questions on Best Gen. Jared, if you had to, if you were tasked with repopulating, the species, would you bang your cousin? Not me, but a different cousin.
Well, hopefully, my wife would be sufficient. So
she's dead. It's just your cousin that's left.
Oh well.
Okay. So
if we wanted to go real weird, you find siblings and see if you'd follow the whole biblical, like, oh, if you need to raise seed under
No, let's change the subject, please.
Well, see, in this case, the siblings weren't actually related in Raised by Wolves.
There you go.
So they're different. You know, so
There you
that would be okay. But then the second round would be a little weird.
Yeah, round 2. Ooh.
The second round would be a little weird.
Oh man,
It would be. But I mean, if that's
And these are the kind of questions that Hollywood shies away from for some reason.
I don't know. I mean,
Raised by-
I've seen some TV shows where they're like, "Hey, like Last
give
Man
it-
on Earth" or whatever, right? Like, I don't
Yeah. Okay. So father gets some fuel blood. Father had a good throwaway line where he's like, "I care too much about mother's happiness. And love be the death of us all." And father and mother have a good conversation where they're talking about their conflicting caregiving programs. He's like, "Well, my caregiving program tells me that this is a danger to us. Well, my caregiving program tells me that I need to be a mummy."
yeah.
So,
Well, it was interesting because I think it was that around that same time where they were both, where father was like, "You need to be here to protect the kids in case the snake comes back, because I'm going out to hunt it with our suicide bombers."
right.
And she's like, "No, I'm the only one that can kill it. So
I'm
you
stronger
should
than
stay
you."
here." And like, yeah, that kind of. But he's like, "But I've been assigned by the trust."
By the trust. I love the trust so
But
much.
the trust
It's
is
great.
going to be an interesting one because I don't know, because I haven't caught up on your last 2 episodes, so I don't know what you guys have talked about from episodes 1 and 2 about maybe is the trust the source of all of, like, again, the source of all of this.
We did talk about that, but there's a line that Sue said she investigates the source of that.
That's right.
Thing.
It's
She said
coming
it
from
can't penetrate. It's coming from outside, and that voice cannot penetrate the tropical zone or something.
And it's funny, you just brought that up right before we're about to mention, it's brought up on the show that the snake is 6 months old when Campion is talking with it and with mom.
I thought I said 9 months old.
It's been 6 months since the ending of season 1.
Which that was an interesting time jump. I think
but
it's a little bit extra for them.
Yeah. Well, it's been a year for them. It's been like 2 years because pandemic. But then Campion is talking with the snake, and he's talking with Mother, and he says, "I think that the snake is in touch with something. It's communicating with something." And then she's like, oh, she sees that the snake is like jealous of Campion.
Yeah, that was an interesting little thing
Of
there.
her affection to it.
Right.
Although, and he did say that the snake didn't attack him. He
Yes.
fell out of the tree, and then it was just like sniffing him. And I mean, it wasn't opening its mouth when it was going at him, but
They are brothers, kind of,
yeah. But he's also jealous of him. So
They don't have to bang, but they're
Yeah.
yeah, but he's saying, it's acting like it's communicating with something. So what's it communicating with? That's the question.
Yeah.
And then Paul talks to the trust and gets his mouse back. Good things come to those who tell the truth. That's what the trust says. And then it tells Paul that they're launching a search and destroy mission against Marcos in 24 hours.
And so he tries to get out to tell them, right?
Warn them.
Paul, Campion, and the one that you said, Jared, the one that you turned out to be
Oh,
Holly.
Yeah, and then the little girl too, right?
Yeah, Holly might be the little girl, but it's either the little girl or the
little
other
girl's
one.
like Vivi, like
Okay. So Holly's the one that leaves with them.
Yeah.
The least interesting, the least developed of the children. Yes.
Yeah, the one we've seen. The
least.
I am also kind of curious because you guys were talking about the end of season 1, wrapping up the idea of the Fremen guy, the devolved humans or whatever. I again not looking for spoilers from the rest of season 2, but that didn't feel fully wrapped up to me. That felt like
for sure.
There's stuff going on with this, and hey, we found out a little bit more, but there's still some interesting questions. I honestly, for a little while, it makes more sense that the theory, like you were talking about the mural wall is showing them going to Earth rather than to Kepler 22b.
That's 100% what it's depicting. Yes.
But for me, for a little while, I was starting to wonder if, so again, that their original shuttle that brought them their mother and father fell into the planet, and we assumed that meant everybody was dead, just like we assumed Tally was dead. But maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. Maybe there's something going on, and especially once we then see mother and father go through there, like I wonder if there's something with those embryos that might have been on that lander there. I don't know.
Maybe the voice that everyone's hearing is the lander that fell through. Maybe it's a rogue AI that's just manipulating everything because it's like, I want to get out of this core. Someone come get me.
They've explained the way
I'm gonna invent a time machine so I can make cave drawings that will depict me going back to Earth. That's what I want to do. I just want to go back to Earth. Someone get me out of this core.
I'm still not 100% convinced that the Trust isn't behind all this, because the Trust is another creation of
the lander that finally escaped.
Of course, mother and father just go straight through the planet, so why didn't the lander then just go straight through the planet?
It's true. I don't know.
The holes just weren't lined up right or something? They got the right hole that was lined up right?
It also wasn't turned on, so it could have just exploded on its way down. Like they had to fly through the...
Yeah.
It probably hit the edges and probably died.
Yeah,
but weirder things have fallen down holes. So,
another thing that,
when you say the Trust is suspicious, they also mentioned in this episode that the Trust could be controlling the mouse from the tarantula.
Yeah.
It's probably mind chipped. David, you had a point.
Oh yes, that might may or may not play into the future. But there's a couple other things that. Little nuggets that they drop that some of them I know pay off in future episodes because, like I said, I've watched the next two after this, but some of them haven't paid off yet, and I'm hoping they will. So one,
a lot of things get paid off this season.
Yes, there is a little bit of dialogue with the Viral android character, and they said I think Campion asked like how she died, and he said, "Oh, that story
that's
is
been
restricted.
blocked. Yeah, it's restricted.
Yeah, and so that's interesting. And then what was the next thing? Oh, the snake skin that Marcus
finds. Yes,
he wraps around himself, and
like
he says, "Yeah." And again, Jared, OG Jared, noted that when he put on the snake shell, his veins again were pulsing, but he mentioned that the snake skin captures the power of the sun. So I don't know, that might be something that I'd like to see that explored on in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And see what else.
Well, I noticed, by the way, too, I remember from back in season 1 where Father climbs down the hole, and just before he comes back up, just before he falls and Mother saves him, one of those times, he pulls something from the wall, and it looked like snake skin. And I don't know if that's played off as much, but I do remember that being a thing where he pulled something off the wall, and it looked kind of like that snake skin. But this was before this snake was born.
Yeah, but then again, they also have the giant. Yeah, they had the giant snake skeletons that were like fertilizer for the crops they were growing.
Yeah,
and the vision of the android ritual birthing snakes before.
Right. I just wonder because bones versus skin feels like it'd be a lot more recent than bones,
True. Yeah.
And also it's interesting because you pointed out the snake bones. Obviously, they're snakes, and they have that spiral that feeds the carbos. But the skull, I might have to go back and look, but the skull didn't look like it had that bottom mouth thing. It looked more like it had a regular mouth.
You're right. It had like saber-tooth fangs, like a
so
snake.
Slightly, at the very least, slightly different versions. It seems like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, she's probably a slightly different robot.
Probably.
I don't know.
This is Mother and Father, not Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you see there's clear differences between the robots that are natural to Kepler 22b that Father is regrowing and the robots that were built on Earth and from the scriptures. I guess that only applies to Mother. Mother was built from codes encoded in their scripture. And Father is just a service robot. But he's one of the strongest ones because he fights another one, and Father becomes daddy, baby.
Oh yeah,
I love Father so much.
Yeah. This is a really good episode.
Yep.
And
see how the rest
Father
of it
has
goes.
another good line where he's like, "A father should never outlive his son." And then Campion friggin' comes right back at him. He's like, "But why should I be the only one to benefit? Like, you could be lots of people's fathers. You're really good at it." I'm just like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Mhm.
I mean, what we've seen in the show, sometimes he's not so good at it.
He's
Only when he listens to Mother, because she's the worst.
Well, the whole like falling for the trick and scolding him until they had time to run away was understandable fathering. I saw you guys talking about that. But
Open this door. You better not be running away.
even though I think he was right, he wasn't exactly the best at saying like, you guys need to learn how to take care of yourselves, so you guys have to kill this thing yourself.
Ooh, Jacob Ironside. That's a good theory. So maybe that previous snake skeleton on the desert side of the planet is whatever pulled the vehicle in the water.
Yeah,
It was like a big trailer thing, right?
yeah, or some sort of like a
Little research station.
Yeah.
Sue also starts kind of figuring out that number 7 is the snake. She isn't quite 100% there, but she's very.
She does suspect Mother of having something to do with it. Yes,
Which I mean, it makes a ton of sense because she goes to Mary to say, "Hey, seal up my belly nips," and
that's why the 6 months thing is significant, because she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, when did you lose Mother? 6 months ago. How old is the snake? It's 6 months old." You know, and that she literally like looks to the camera. She's like,
exactly.
just like the slow zoom in.
And then Paul Campion and other chick go and they find Marcus. That's the end of the episode. That's all she wrote, folks.
Because I think it ends with Marcus saying, "Paulie, come here." And,
Yeah, he's like, "Come here, come to me, my son, my fake son."
which I'm intrigued to see what ends up happening with that, because I think that dynamic between Paul and Marcus and Sue has been an interesting thing to play with, because like he's obviously still attached to them, but he's like mad at Sue, but he's not. He doesn't, and he's kind of mad at Marcus, but he still seems to care about Marcus enough to go for it. Whereas like Sue, he's just like, "Man, get away from me," you know.
The next episode addresses it a lot. There's some really good dialogue
Which makes sense, because they're gonna get all together with that. But at the very least, this one,
This season addresses that a lot.
Yeah. Sue is no longer, or Mary Sue is no longer, Rey Skywalker is no longer pretending to be Mithraic, whereas Caleb Caleb Marcus is. And so that's something that will, I imagine, be a good thing in Paul's mind. So we shall see.
Yeah.
So you shall, and it shall be seen, and it shall be written, and it shall be done.
It shall be glorious.
You guys seen the Ten Commandments movie? I freaking love it.
Yeah.
Charlton
The
Heston.
old one with Charlton Heston. It's been a while.
Charlton Heston and the guy who was in the original Westworld. He's Egyptian, isn't he? He's actually, or what's his name?
Ramses something, I think.
Ramsey is the
His
name of the
character's name is Ramsey.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Freaking idiot. That's a good movie. I love it.
Oh, movie. I just Googled 10 Commandments.
Yeah, I
Trying to
did
find
the
the
same
movie.
thing.
Okay, so I have right here. It's thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not
Yul
make
Brynner.
thee
Yul
any
Brynner.
graven
Yes.
images. I don't see Carlton Heston
Heston.
here.
Carl Legion. Carl.
Yul Brynner. Thou shalt not.
Carlton, yes.
Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. I don't see. I don't know.
Thou shalt not cancel Raised by Wolves, because it's a freaking good show.
Oh, he's Russian. I could never figure out his nationality. He totally looks. I loved his casting for Ramses. It was good.
He was a good actor. He played the king in The King and I, too.
Oh yeah, The King and I. The King and I. That's a good movie. I haven't seen that in forever.
Right.
That's a good musical.
Yeah. I have not been watching Orville.
So
Yeah.
I just barely started it, season 3.
Did it start?
Huh? Yeah. So
I didn't realize the season 3 started yet.
there's 2 episodes on Hulu. I started
I need to
watching.
get on that.
I started watching the first episode, but it was like 4 in the morning, and I fell asleep halfway through.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's a good. It seems like a good start so far. It hasn't been very funny because of what happened at the end of season 2. It's kind of a depressing episode, but I like where it's going.
I'm intrigued. I'm gonna have to check that one out because I've been a big. I enjoy Star Trek in general. I haven't minded the new stuff, but I also haven't watched a ton of the new stuff. I watched season 1 of Discovery. And that was
Orville
good.
is so
so
good.
good.
I've
It's
heard great things. Yeah.
I realized, and we've talked about the downfall of Star Trek, and Jared disagrees with me, and that's fine. I realized, I think the biggest difference is I was thinking about in the shower this morning. I was thinking about the difference between, or it was yesterday actually. Sorry, I lied. I make a mistake. I was thinking about.
I can't take anything seriously anymore.
I was thinking about the difference between sci-fi and fantasy as genres, because they're kind of the same genre, but in general they have a different focus, right? Like they're both kind of fantasy and they're both kind of sci-fi, right? But in general, I'd say fantasy is usually focused on like good and evil forces, right? And storytelling and that kind of stuff, whereas sci-fi is traditionally focused on conceptual like theology, or not theology, but like theory stuff, and so like and this has changed somewhat, right? But the old sci-fi books would literally just, hey, here's an idea, let's just pontificate on it for a whole book, right? Like Ender's Game. Let's talk about the effects of genocide and child soldiers. Okay, let's explore that idea, right? Now there are a lot of sci-fi and fantasy that cross those streams, right? So like, and if you look at Star Wars is fantasy. It's not really sci-fi, right? It's set under a sci-fi setting, but if you look at the story, it's a fantasy story. Yeah. It's good and evil, right?
Yeah.
Original Star Trek, 100% sci-fi. Every episode of every week is a different premise. Hey, here's the thought experiment. Let's think about it for 45 minutes, and hey, let's make people think.
Yeah.
The difference between new Star Trek is fantasy.
Yeah.
It's not sci-fi.
Yeah.
They don't care about ideas. It's about storytelling, which is fine. You can do that, but like that's why to me it no longer feels like it's Star Trek, because it's completely changed genre.
That makes the most sense to me is that it's moving away from that idea, and I can still enjoy what I get out of the Star Trek shows. While
Star Wars is fun. You can make but it's a completely different show.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
And that's why that's the difference between the Orville. The Orville feels, even though it's literally a comedy show, it feels more like Star Trek than actual Star Trek does, because it's the same genre.
Amen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I gotta check it out. I just have too much to catch up on because I'm halfway through Stranger Things, trying to get in on that one, which has been really good.
That's
so
a good one.
Right? Yeah.
Season 4, I've been impressed.
Yeah, it's been pretty good so far. Because you guys were talking about it, I wanted to check out Outer Range, and so I'm about halfway through on that one.
It's fun. It's a fun little diversion.
So far, like I've enjoyed what I've got, but I'm only like 3 episodes in, I think. So, yeah. And then I want to catch up on The Boys. That's the other one that just came out that I watched the first couple of seasons of that, and I want to check that out.
Never watched that one.
It's a gory, kind of all over, but it's got some interesting stuff in there for sure.
Yeah.
I've heard season 1 was fantastic and season 2 was kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
But it's still like pretty good, but just not nearly as good as first one.
I enjoyed the fact that
I haven't heard much about season 3.
Gus Fring / Moff Gideon shows up in season 2, which is always a bonus.
I do like. I can never remember his name.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Esposito, yeah.
Yep.
He's a real good actor.
I will say, being a Spanish speaker,
he feels
listening to his Spanish. He's not a Spanish speaker.
Oh no, he doesn't.
Italian.
He doesn't know Spanish. His Spanish in Breaking Bad is awful, but yeah.
It's been fun listening to that. Be like, he almost has a good accent, but
It's actually better in Better Call Saul. His Spanish is a lot better.
does get a lot better. I've seen the first 3 or 4 seasons of Better Call Saul. I haven't watched the one that's latest up on Netflix because I'm like they're about to come out with another season on show anyway. So I'll just
neither have I. And I think it's going to be the final season or
I
whatever.
think so.
Yeah, Better Call Saul has been really good. I haven't watched the recent.
I'm all caught up. I haven't seen anything from the newest season, but I've seen everything else, and I love Better Call Saul. I think it's better than Breaking Bad because
a lot of people have said that. Yeah,
it's more endearing as well.
Well, you can like the main character.
Exactly. That was my problem. Breaking Bad was a fun show, but the whole time you're like, oh, come on, Walt, don't make that stupid decision. And it was awesome how he thought his way out of these stupid situations that he got himself into. But the whole time you're like, I hate these characters.
No, it's a brilliant show, but you cannot root for the main character.
Exactly.
Like he has to lose it.
And this one is the opposite.
This one, it's the exact same setting. It's the exact. It's literally the exact same setting, and it's brilliant. I don't. It's so weird. Like, hey, let's take this spin-off lawyer character and make a whole show about him. But they do such a good job of making you care.
He does still end up in a position where he's doing things for bad people. So like,
right. But the difference is,
there's still a lot of like, Jimmy, don't do that. No, that's not a good idea. But he is still generally.
But you still want him to win.
Exactly.
You want him.
The difference is that he's trying to make good decisions, and life just keeps beating him down. And so he's like, well, I guess I'm going to do these illicit activities.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, because he, in his heart, he wants to be the good guy, and he's just showing how he becomes to be this corrupt lawyer.
And from episode 1 of Breaking Bad, you can tell Walt is like, hey, I'm going to start cooking some meth.
I didn't even mind it so much for Breaking Bad because for me, I understood his whole like.
Oh yeah, I don't. It's good storytelling.
I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna leave them with all these like medical debts and this, that, and the other. So I need to do like I felt. I didn't mind rooting for him. For
Breaking Bad is fantastic.
It's so good. I actually don't necessarily feel like he's just. I don't know. I still was rooting for him. While being like, oh, please start making the right choices, please. Like,
exactly, you're still rooting for him to make good decisions, but the whole time he had several opportunities to get out.
He had way too many opportunities to.
The flip for me was when he watched Jesse's girlfriend, Jessica Jones, die. that one was where
that's
died
the
and
point of no return.
Heisenberg was truly born. Was that moment, and towards the end of the series, the last
what a good episode, man.
The end of the end of the second to last season, not season 5, where like it's all him dealing with trying to come back and wreak some havoc. But just before that, when they're doing the car wash, like I started to get a little bit more on his side again, where he's like, okay, I'm doing this business and actually working with my family again.
Yeah, the reason that season they played up the idea of, oh, hey, I'm going to get out.
Yeah.
Then he doesn't.
Because he had gotten caught up in his whole, like he was doing it for the right reasons, and then he got caught up in his own pride and his own, like, mythology of who, I am the one that knocks, kind of thing going on. Which was great.
You think I'm in danger? I am the danger.
I am. Yeah. And so, like, he starts to come back to doing it for the right reasons again. And then, of course, it all just falls apart for him because, hey, consequences, dude. Like, I'm not mad that you got consequences. So, and then
consequences.
At the very least, he is able to come back and get Jesse out. Did you guys watch El Camino?
Oh, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Not as good. It was a long, elongated new episode of Breaking Bad, so I wanted it to be more.
It didn't feel like a movie. It just felt like a prologue, like an epilogue.
Like an epilogue.
That's exactly what it was. It was an epilogue to Breaking Bad. It's not the best episode. It does, however, have probably my favorite moment of all time from the show.
Yeah, which one?
The duel at the end when Jesse goes in. He's just like, okay, let's freaking do this Western style. I'm just like, it just showed his character's full arc. He's like, I don't deserve to live, but I'm still gonna try. Yeah. And then at the end, he's just like, it's so
I loved the
It's
shot
so
because again, Vince Gilligan's always like brilliant with the way that where he places the camera and does different things. But the shot of the overhead of that apartment as he's like tearing through it, just such a cool idea, cool concept that they built out that whole set, got it set up so the camera was right above and they could see him just going. Oh, that was so cool. I love that.
Good show. Sorry, Jacob,
Yeah.
you asked about the Orville.
Yes, sorry.
It's a good show. I like it.
As is Breaking Bad, as is Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
As
As
is
is half
Stranger
the other
Things.
tangents that we
Yep.
Yeah.
go to.
I know. I know that you were not a fan of the Jurassic World, the last Jurassic World, but I know David and I just went and saw the newest.
Yeah.
one.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
it yet. But yeah, you guys wanted to talk about Jurassic World?
Yeah, you want to talk some no
spoiler-free?
spoilers, or
I
maybe
can
maybe
probably-
very, very light spoilers.
Jared, have you seen it? You haven't seen it.
I have not seen it.
I can probably watch it sometime this week if you want to talk full spoilers next week. But yeah, if you want to talk about your initial, mostly spoiler-free thoughts of Jurassic Dominion world, go ahead.
Yeah. Well,
Here, I'll put you guys up top. Look, see, I'm just not even my show anymore.
oh, sweet. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, as we've talked about previous in the show, I didn't really like the last one, despite my brother's constant gaslighting. There were parts of the last one I liked, but overall,
You didn't hate it enough for Alan, so
that's exactly
No,
what it
no,
was.
I think your opinion has changed drastically because when you first saw it, you're like you literally, I was shocked. You're like, what? Martina and I loved it in the theaters. I was
No,
like,
I think
I
you're
literally-
confusing. No.
no, I was.
You
I
can't
Was,
gaslight me
I
on this.
remember the day.
Anyways, that aside,
Need the receipt.
I was really excited for this film because, as much as I didn't like the previous one, this
The concept, the
the
setting, yeah,
for this one
makes
was
sense.
different than any other Jurassic World, and I was enamored with the idea of what does this look like? This
Jurassic
post-apocalyptic world. Yeah, this Jurassic World. It's like a zombie
It
apocalypse
has
movie but with
interesting
dinosaurs.
it has interesting implications. The
Yeah.
setup it probably has the most potential.
Exactly.
And what they had of that in
And-
the movie, I thought was pretty cool.
Yes, exactly. I enjoyed that, and the first 20 minutes of the film, perfect. I loved it. They introduced the characters. They started. If you've seen any of the promotional materials that they've released for this film, they did a little short
The like nature
reel or whatever.
documentary, like David Attenborough, but
And then they did like a
dinosaurs.
short film with
Battle of Black
with
Rock.
Dinosaur Battle Black Rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have some of that in the very beginning as like this newsreel of like,
News
oh, this is the
exposition,
world, and it's wonderful. I'm like, oh yes, this is what I want. And then it gets weird. And on one hand, I appreciate it because they introduce this kind of overarching subplot that kind of ties everything together, and moves the pace, moves the plot along in the show. And on one part, I applaud it because I think there's been a lot of people complaining about this subplot online.
I haven't heard any of this.
And I agree with them, but I think that it's really hard to talk about this, not spoilers. I think the concept in itself.
So what the trailers have already given away is that it looks the plot the setting of the movie is, hey, dinosaurs are among us and we have to learn to coexist. And then the plot that the trailers have given away is that Chris Pratt has to go save Blue's raptor daughter or raptor.
Yes, and
Raptor kid. Raptor kid gets kidnapped, and Pratt sets off on an adventure to go save the raptor baby.
That is one thing that happens in the film. Yes, that's not the whole premise of the show.
Okay.
And that was a stupid premise anyway. I hate this. You got to go save this
The baby dinosaur.
man killing machine. But anyways, that aside, this whole subplot, and when you see the movie, you'll know what I mean. the whole plot that moves everything forward. I think it's actually a good sci-fi subplot. It goes back just like you were talking about before, how these new Star Trek movies, they're not sci-fi movies, they're action movies. That's how I feel about the Jurassic Park franchise. The very first Jurassic Park movie that's a sci-fi movie.
Oh,
Not a lot of people think
100%.
about it that way,
It's
but
science
it's a
fiction.
sci-fi movie. There's an evil corporation that's trying to do something really cool with science, but they didn't think about the implications, right? It went that they didn't think about whether
That's
they
all
should.
sci-fi is. It takes a concept.
Exactly.
Let's explore the implications.
And I wrote
You read the books. That one really gets.
I wrote an article about how Jurassic Park was a sci-fi show in my film class, and the fellow students are like, "What is Jurassic Park?" And then I explained it like, "Oh yeah, it's classic sci-fi," and then the rest of them just kind of devolve into more of action flicks.
I can't even see how anyone would be confused by that statement. It's literally a sci-fi
fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just not in space.
It's confusing. Yeah, it's confusing because it's not in space.
It's,
Most of the time, sci-fi is like this big space epic or some futuristic, post-apocalyptic world or something.
Well, not even most. You have like the Andromeda Strain. You've got the Stand. It's not in space, but it's a sci-fi book.
Right. Yeah.
That's just what the conception is. Yeah.
I thought it was cool that they tried to root this film more in science fiction roots, okay? And I didn't even have any problems with this subplot on the face of it. But the problem is that subplot is not what this film promised.
Really is about.
It's not what the setting required.
And especially when you know what the subplot is, it's this thing that would drastically upend the world, I guess.
Are they cloning Jedi that have been trapped in amber?
That's it. You got it. Crossover event. No,
I'm a genius, baby. I'm a genius.
You should write in Hollywood.
So this
Even
thing
with those ideas, you'd do better.
Yeah. This thing that they're trying to combat is something that would upend the entire ecosystem of the world and throw off the balance of everything.
They don't dive in.
Is it Planet of the Apes?
No.
So does Blue have a line where so Chris Pratt is going to be like saving Blue's kid, and then someone's going to gonna whack it with a stick, and then Blue reaches out her hand and grabs the stick and goes, "No."
That's a good take.
Is that it?
The Planet of the Apes, this franchise.
There you go. Jacob's got it. They're using Jedi DNA to fill in the gaps of the dinosaur DNA.
Oh,
Jedi
dinosaurs!
We've already seen dinosaur bounty hunters, so hey,
Yeah.
No,
Anyways,
my last guess then, David, would be it's the 12 Monkeys plot. It's the environmental extremists decide that they need to wipe out humanity because it's time for dinosaurs to inherit the earth.
No.
Obviously, there's no dinosaurs in the 12 Monkey plot. It's we need to give the world back to nature, so we're going to release a biological weapon that kills all humans. And then the plot of that movie is that Bruce Willis has to go back in time to stop the terrorist attack. And
that would have been a better subplot. Honestly,
yeah.
But no,
I see what you're saying though, because this is it's just a subplot. It's not the plot.
It's not the plot of the movie. Oh,
this apocalyptic this thing.
So the actual plot of the movie is going to save Blue's kid.
No.
No,
the actual plot of the movie is this subplot that they just introduce.
But they don't.
You said it's a subplot.
Together.
But that's not a subplot, David. That's just a regular plot.
It's just kind of just background to it. It should be about that. To your point, it should be about that. But that's just kind of it's there.
My point is that they already. It's really, really hard to talk about this without.
Yeah, this is a hard conversation to have.
We can talk about it.
I'm just going to keep making guesses as to what the plot's about.
We can talk about it more in depth next week after you've seen it. But the point is, there's already been a huge shift to the world's ecosystem, and that's the dinosaurs being let out.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the movie
the little
was really
girl's
awesome.
A murderer. Right.
Yeah. The beginning of the movie is really awesome, and then they just kind of brush all that aside and forget about the dinosaurs. That's just kind of the new normal.
Forget about the new setting, the entire setting.
Yeah. And it's really frustrating that way. And that being said, there's some really, really awesome parts in this movie. There's awesome dinosaur encounters, and a lot of it really, really works.
Is it the dinosaur who lived? the
Lightning
T-Rex,
bolt on
so
the
the
forehead?
T-Rex comes in and tries to kill Blue, and then tries to kill Blue's kid. But then there's a magic spell that keeps the kid alive, and it kills the T-Rex. And then
You're making this really hard on me.
I'll say,
I love your predictions though.
I think David, for me, it really did. It really just was just another Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie, and so
Yeah.
there was a lot of those kind of convenient things that were like, that doesn't really make. Why would that doesn't? And people doing things where it's like, that's kind of a bad decision, but okay, because it leads to, big dinosaurs fighting. Did you see the one? Again, it's not a spoiler but there's a moment where there's a feature of like these grounds that has this big circle, and then at one point later on in the movie, the T-Rex comes in just behind it, so you get the Jurassic Park logo of the T-Rex, and I'm just like, it's a moment. They were writing moments more than a story.
Is
exactly.
it? And let me guess. Is it Invasion of the Raptor Snatchers? So the
Close,
entire planet gets invaded by aliens who are their entire goal is to steal raptors from raptor mothers, and so it's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but with raptors. And so you have to learn to not react, to not show any emotion, because that would give you away as a regular human and not a raptor snatcher. So anytime someone,
if you don't move.
So the problem is, everyone in the world has become super concerned with the well-being of raptor babies. But so anytime a raptor snatcher has to come and steal a raptor, you have to pretend like you don't care about that. Otherwise, you'll be outed.
You nailed it.
Every step closer, you're getting there. You're getting there.
No, but I think you're absolutely right, Jared. It's like they're writing cool moments.
Yep.
And then
Is it
this overarching plot that they tried to weave it all together? It's just
is it the
a
day the
list of
T-Rex
dinosaur
stood still?
encounters to get from one dinosaur encounter to the next dinosaur encounter to the next dinosaur encounter to the next dinosaur encounter.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same problem we were talking about with Obi-Wan. They just the moments don't link together. It's just so frustrating.
They give nods to the idea of like it connects from this to this, but the reason they give that it connects from this to this is like, but what? Why would that have done that?
Exactly.
I'll say recruiting Alan Grant. It was to get Alan Grant in the movie. That's the only reason.
Yeah, and that's one thing.
Is it War of the Jurassic Worlds?
War of the Jurassic Worlds.
Does it turn out that the dinosaurs are allergic to are allergic to water? Or no, sorry, that's science.
That's actually the closest you've come.
There's a disease that just kills off all the dinosaurs. And Tom Cruise is there. And
I like the day that the T-Rex stood still. That sounded
the day the T-Rex
stood still.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, that was the one you were talking. I threw that one in.
Yeah.
I come across. I generally come with a positive outlook to things, and so overall, I had fun. It was a fun dumb action movie, cool. But I agree. There's a ton of things where it's like that doesn't. Why would they? Did they do that? Why did they do this?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Is it a race thing? Is it like? Is it 12 years? 12 years a dinosaur slave?
12 years of dinosaurs.
So dinosaurs become since you have to coexist, dinosaurs become second-class citizens, and they make the raptors pick cotton. And
it's 12 years a clone. That's what it is.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just felt like there were so many different story plots and ideas and things that very conveniently all brought them together in ways that it's like
it's Deus Ex Machina.
They all kind of fit that they all are interrelated, but it's just really convenient that they all, and it's just there's so many of them that when the way they then bring these very different stories or almost way too similar stories together, it's like okay, whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, and like I said, I still enjoyed the movie. I liked it much better than the second Jurassic World, and overall, I walked away liking the movie more than disliking the movie, which tends to be.
Hear that, Alan? He loved it.
But
he loved it. He thinks
I loved it.
He says the best movie ever.
But there are so
you
many...
heard it here on Best Gen first. My brother David thinks Jurassic World Dominion is the best of the Jurassics movies.
One more thing I will say is that there's a lot of new characters that are introduced in this franchise, in this film, and some of them are really really cool. There's
that's
one
good.
on the pilot.
That's good, but here's a better idea. Instead of turning T-Rex into Godzilla, Hollywood is now the bad guy instead of the evil scientists, and they want to make a new Godzilla movie, but to make it cheaper, they go to that scientist and say, "Hey, can you just genetically engineer us a dinosaur that looks like Godzilla, so that so we can just we can have a Godzilla, and it will be like we can." We can just film the movie and just have this real Godzilla just destroy things, and then we don't have to pay.
CGI is cheaper.
Is it? No, because then you could do you could do the classic. They don't know they're being filmed thing, where the
Like the
Truman Show,
or Tropic Thunder,
dinosaurs.
but it's a real dinosaur Godzilla.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Your things are getting ridiculous.
I'm good at writing.
Hey, Jared, don't throw me under the bus like that. I never said no.
Jurassic World is the best movie ever.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the one thing I'll say is, like I said, they introduce a lot of NPC characters, and some of them are really cool. Like there's a pilot lady that is on the poster. She's a really cool character, underdeveloped, but she's pretty cool.
She
But
makes no more stupid decisions than any of the rest of them. She makes some odd, weird choices.
Her motivations are kind of unclear.
There is a. Go ahead.
Yeah, but there's one particular other NPC character that I don't know what his purpose in this movie is at all, and we can talk about more in detail next week. But it just really bothered me that they inserted this character in here, and he was so confusing and off-putting. It makes a twist in the end that is like, why did you do that? It just ruins. Anyways,
is it John Carter of Jurassic Mars? Is it Jurassic Mars?
Jurassic Mars.
That's it.
That's our next one.
Yep. Anyways,
I
can't wait to talk about this in more detail because this is really, really hard to do without spoilers.
I will say,
I'm an idiot. I'm a brave new Jurassic World. I'm stupid.
One of the things. So with that pilot character, there's a bit in one of the trailers that you see with her that is slightly less stupid in the movie than it is on the than it was in the trailer.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
It makes it better.
With the Quetzalcoatlus. Is that what you're talking about?
No, you could do.
It's the when they're. I don't think so. It's when they're flying and they're like, that's another plane, right?
Yeah, so that's the Quetzalcoatlus.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a real guess. This isn't a joke. You could do Foundation. Now that dinosaurs and humans have to coexist, we are going to run out of resources in this many years. Now, all the scientists have to get together and figure out how we can survive.
That would have been another better plot.
There were a lot of pieces that they touched on that if they decided to go that direction, it would have made a lot of sense for them to start going that direction. But they went a totally different direction instead with David's subplot that he's talking about. Which again, to me, I still swear the biggest problem is that, I mean, to your point of like Jurassic Park as a series, or in its original concept, is a very sci-fi. Let's explore these concepts, and they didn't do that because they kept it as just kind of a subplot with all the other plots that are going on that they then kind of mesh in together, and it just gets a little messy and like unclear. That there's not a purpose, like again, because I'm thinking about I'm going to movies with my wife this week, and I was going to bring her with me to Jurassic World Dominion, but it was too late for her, so she bailed on me, and I'm like thinking, okay, so now do I want to bring you to Jurassic World or do I want to bring you to Top Gun Maverick? She's not a big action movie person, so she'll probably feel meh about it, both of them, but at least Top Gun Maverick, it's like it has a purpose and a direction. Like that's what made it was such a better movie even than the original. Whereas this one, like, it just was kind of like, oh, there's stuff. Just all went all over the place.
Well, at least Hollywood is asking the important questions, like, do dinosaurs dream of electric sheep?
Very well done. Very well done.
There we go. I think that's the stinger, boys.
Raptor Runner, Blade Raptor.
Blade Raptor.
Blade Raptor. Yes.
Raptor.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
Blade Raptor 2049.
Character doesn't know if he's a dinosaur or not.
Ooh, there
He's
you go.
hunting down dinosaurs because mirrors have been outlawed. So he does.
Yeah.
So, that's so good.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody else here has, but I watched Miss Marvel.
Oh yeah, that's out.
Oh, I
now.
didn't see that either.
It came out the same night as Obi-Wan because Disney is finally actually doing something where they're having more than just one show happening at a time.
Right.
I think it's weird that they have them both come out the same night, like one instead of having one
at least
Wednesday and one
spread them
Friday.
out to different days of the week.
Yeah, at least so that we have more than just like, we stay up late one night, and then the rest of the nights we don't, like stay up a little bit like this one,
Right.
have something new the next night, and instead of having to wait a whole week till the possibly next thing to show up on the streaming service. But
I haven't heard anything about that show. So what do you think about it?
it was fine. Again, I'm gonna come at it from a generally positive approach. There were a couple little like odds and ends. I overall am not loving the idea that my minimal understanding of her from the comic books, that they've gone a pretty different direction. I kind of understand.
They've completely changed her powers. I don't really care about the character, so that doesn't bother me. But
she's young in the comics. I think they started in 2012, 2013, something like that. So she's only about 10 years old in the comics to begin with. And her power set is really, really similar to Mr. Fantastic, especially from a visual standpoint.
She's basically have you seen Zoom with Tim Allen?
I don't think I have.
Yes.
There's a character in there.
It would be so bad.
That's her powers are basically she can like make her body change shape.
Yeah.
It's not so much stretching. I think it's like repurposing her matter. But like her big thing is she makes big fists and punches people. But she's kind of like the fat kid in Zoom who can just like make his body do weird.
There's
that's not what she is at all in the show.
Yeah, no. You can find on Disney Plus. There's a Marvel Rising set of little animated things that are pretty decent for animated Marvel properties, where she does a lot more of that. In beginning, she does her normal stuff. So I'm not crazy about that, and the fact that she's an Inhuman in the comics, which
I didn't know that.
I also get them trying to get away from that because
that
Kevin Feige has been very like the TV show The Inhumans was terrible. He doesn't particularly care for or care about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and so he kind of probably just wants to distance himself. Not to mention, Inhumans were kind of created as a replacement for the X-Men, since they didn't have the film property rights for the X-Men. They had Inhumans that they could write comics about that would possibly lead into
the weird thing though is they've had the rights to the X-Men now for like 5 years almost. It's been like 5 years.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
It's because Kevin Feige isn't rushing into it. He had his plan and he wanted to stick to what he had planned, and he didn't want to rush into just shoehorning it in. Which I'm actually, if he does it right, and I appreciate the fact that he's taking his time and not trying to just be like, oh, okay, let's do this, or even like I know it's going to be coming, so I'm going to force feed it in and hope that it ends up happening.
If that were true, that would be good reason. But from what I've seen from all these shows is that they didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
Like if you look at WandaVision versus Doctor Strange, it's two completely contradicting ideas.
I don't think they're quite opposite sides of the spectrum with that, but I do recognize the disconnect in them there. Yeah. But yeah.
I'm not. It's just I don't think they did have a plan.
Yeah.
I don't think they know what a plan. I don't think they know what those are.
I'm open to. We're only halfway through, so we don't get it all yet, because it is confusing right now. Honestly, the thing that's confusing to me is the whole like. There's the kind of multiverses that Wanda plays with. There's the kind of multiverses that like Spider-Man did, and then there's the stuff that Loki did, which is somehow different but kind of the same, but not really. And it's like not very clear about that. So, timelines versus dimensions versus are they all just the same anyway?
Right.
But
I just know that I want to see 1984, 100,000 years ago in the Jurassic period. So
I think I missed that one.
Yeah, it's 1984, but with dinosaurs.
Years ago,
There you go.
1984.
100,000 years ago.
Yeah. The other thing with Miss Marvel is the one thing that they did stick true to is the fact that she's a big like Marvel fan herself, which is a big part of at least this first episode. The one thing that I'm actually enjoying so far, but I'm curious what the reception will be in general, is they kind of did a little bit of a Into the Spider-Verse where like they comic bookize it a little bit. Like it's live action, but they do a lot of like those things that would be in the comics of bubbles popping up and this, that, and the other, especially for their texting. But they incorporate it. It's kind of a cool effect, but yeah, I could kind of take it or leave it. It's interesting, but I could see people not loving it. So I don't know. Other than that, it's just a teenage kid in high school doing superpowery things. So
yeah, the trailers made it look like it was definitely built for a different audience.
Yeah,
but
I would say that the trailers seem to be pretty consistent with what I've seen. Like what I saw in the trailers, what they're telling you you're going to get in the trailers is pretty much what you're going to get in the show if you're going to watch it. So.
Cool. Well, I'll check it out eventually. It's not high on my priority list because I got much else to watch.
I got to reread this first. I stole from your house yesterday, David.
Yeah. Yes.
You come.
Best comic graphic novel, hands down.
The artwork in this,
so good.
I forgot how beautiful this thing is. It's
hand painted.
So freaking good.
Very cool. Yeah.
This was my favorite comic as a kid. I haven't read it in like 15 years. And so I'm gonna reread it, and I'm gonna make Tanner make it part of his curriculum because he's teaching a comic book class.
Oh, that's awesome!
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
I know he was planning on doing a film class, but a comic book class.
Yeah, he's doing both. He's doing a film class and a comic book class. I'm trying to make him put this on his curriculum thing.
Yeah,
what's the word? That's not the one with the
reading list or whatever.
Yeah,
syllabus.
Is that the word? Syllabus was the word I was looking for.
Syllabus is such a dumb word. But yeah,
it's such a silly bus word. Wait,
it is a silly
what's wrong? I've never heard anyone take issue with the word syllabus.
It's just a weird word. Like what's the origins?
It's probably Greek or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I didn't go to.
Yeah, probably. It's probably some Latin.
You know what else is a fun word? Smock. Smock is a fun word. Smock. Anybody get that reference?
It sounds really familiar, but I can't. I put my thumb on the finger.
David definitely could get it if he's read his comics recently.
Yeah, again, it sounds familiar. I can't place it.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh,
Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah,
those were good for sure.
Good. Yeah, I have the whole collection of Calvin and Hobbes collection of that too.
Yeah, you have the actual full collection. I have all these books that I got from the Scholastic Book Fair.
Nice. Nice. Yes. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Calvin Hobbes is so
Classic stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, if anybody hasn't read Kingdom Come, it is hands down the best graphic novel ever created, ever put to paper. The artist, I think Alex Ross is the artist. He hand paints every single panel, and it's just freaking gorgeous, and the story is amazing.
It's like
anybody doesn't know, it's like years after all the DC superheroes are old and retired, and like Batman is back is broken, and he's got like all this assistive machinery to help him out, and the next generation of superheroes like aren't doing their job, and so the old guys have to come in and show them how it's done. It's just so good.
It's got like a bunch of like biblical tie-ins. Like it's basically about
the title, like Kingdom Come.
Well, it's basically about the apocalypse, and so they're like quoting Revelation all the time, and it's like it's told from the perspective of like one of the witnesses, and
but there's also like this religion that's based on superheroes.
Yeah, which if superheroes were real, would happen.
Exactly. You would have people worshiping these people with godlike powers. I mean, there's Superman, for goodness sake.
It's freaking brilliant.
But yeah, it's so good.
I mean, he is a Christ-like figure anyway, too. But speaking of which, and circling back to some of our other conversations about Brandon Sanderson, Steelheart, the Reckoner series, a very good series.
I need to read that.
Have you not read it at all?
No, I own them. I got them.
I enjoyed it a lot. The third book did not go the way I thought it was going to go, but it was a pleasant and welcome surprise.
Yeah. The first one I think is by far the best. The second was okay, and the third, like, it did have some good. It ended up in a good way that wasn't exactly the way I was expecting, but yeah, it was good.
I think my second favorite comic book run is the death / and return of Superman.
That's a good one.
That's
too.
a really, really good run. It's really convoluted and confusing, but it's a lot of fun.
Yep. So yeah. Anyways, you're welcome.
Yeah,
to,
we've been
steal / borrow my book, and
You're not
you're
getting it
welcome for me
Hey,
introducing that to you, originally. So
Yeah, you did. You showed me that.
I did.
Sure.
It's good stuff.
I showed you Doctor Who though. So, I 100%. I tried to get you to watch it, and you thought it was stupid.
No, you watched one random episode with Dad one morning that I wasn't around.
That's when I was. I found a random episode. We were just browsing. How did we have TV that year? It was like because we didn't have TV as kids. We were teenagers before.
There was a neighbor friend that had a bunch of DirecTV boxes,
right?
And so
we just got an extra box. It was like
for one of his extra boxes. Yeah.
So there were a few years as teenagers where we had like a hacked DirecTV box.
Yeah, and we didn't have cable until we were like, until I was like 16 or something.
Into our teens. So,
anyways, this has been a long.
No, the point is, I randomly came across an episode of Doctor Who. I really liked it, and I tried to get you guys into it, and you thought it was stupid. But
no, you watched that one random episode, and I had just come home, and I was in the middle episode of like, oh, that's cool, that's kind of weird.
Well,
and did you ever watch any more episodes? Did you ever watch any more?
Yes.
Or did you just no, you didn't. You didn't watch any more of those episodes
while I was
until
in high school.
I got into Doctor Who.
That's not true.
From a girl I was dating, and then I brought it home and introduced it to you, and you're like, oh, that's that show that I was watching.
David,
he was dating another girl in high school.
I started watching Doctor Who while you were on your mission.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Not true.
It's true.
Not true.
It's 100% true.
You are the worst at gaslighting, bro.
I'm not. I
did not like Jurassic Park Dominion, and I was the one definitely that reintroduced you to Doctor Who when you had forgotten about it entirely.
I taught you how to ride a bike.
Wow.
No objection. No objection. No objection.
From a certain point of view, that is true.
Oh, you were such a wuss as a kid. He was so scared of riding his bike that he never learned. He was too afraid to do it. And then years later, I learned to ride a bike, and he got jealous.
Well, we would both ride bikes together, but we would just coast down the hill without pedaling. I could do the balancing portion. I just wouldn't pedal. Neither of us would pedal. And then one day, you actually pedaled the bike. We would coast down the hill because you don't have to. You just have to balance there.
You didn't do that until I started doing it either.
And then we would walk our bikes back up, and we'd coast down together.
That's
and then one day, you actually pedaled back up, and you're like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If my little brother can do it, then I can do it." And I did it the very same day.
Yeah. You didn't start coasting either until I started doing that.
No, I was doing that long before you, Joe.
Yeah. Well, the point is, I'm better than you, and
you can grow a magnificent beard. That's one thing I can't do.
Okay, so we'll see you next week. I think from now on we're going to start the show at 7 instead of 6. My wife wants me to push it back, if that's okay with everybody. I don't think that'll be too big of a problem. We might not be able to go.
As long as we keep them reasonable lengths.
We might not be able to go 3 hours, but
yes,
yeah.
I'm an hour ahead of you guys anyway, so.
Well, it's been great. We'll see you next week. We're more Obi-Wan. It'll be the penultimate episode, and then Raised by Wolves episode 4, and I will probably have seen Jurassic World by then. So we'll see you next week. It's been great. Love you guys in the chat, and I'm better than my brother David. Bye.
Next week.
What?
Obi-5 Kenobi coming up.
Obi-5 Kenobi,
Oh,
and
Lightyear.
I'm cool, and I'm cooler than my brother David. Bye. He can't say anything because I'm ending the stream right now, and he can't retort. Bye.